Hey, what is going on, everyone? And it is great to be back right here in my seat here in our little studio in Chesapeake, Virginia. Welcome to Bronco Base Camp. I am excited to be back tonight and talk about some cool stuff. Bronco trail maps, more Bronco trims on the way, at least that's the rumor. And the final wrap up, since I couldn't do a good one last week, of Super Celebration East 2023 and what I really did think about it. So, let's go ahead and say hello to everyone who is in the chat. Gavin, you doing all right, bub?
Yeah, I don't have my iPad's dead right now. So.
Your iPad's dead, so yeah. So the comments, we're going to be doing the comments. I don't know if Bronco Nation's still going over on their live stream or not. That's why I was a few minutes late. Make sure they get finished or whatever their time schedule is. I don't know. Of course, they're a little further out west doing some cool stuff. So I wish I could have made that trip, by the way. Ryan Hemming, what is going on? Dirk Connor, hello. Jonathan Falls, what is going on? Hi, all. Member since July 2020. I hear you. Hey, speaking of member, I think it's time we roll out our membership here on the channel and do some cool stuff as an added feature, some behind the scenes stuff. So maybe that'll work out. Bronco 78 Adventures. I like the new name, by the way. That is awesome.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, you like that? Yeah, you just noticed it. Yeah. Oh. I guess he commented the other day on Dave's stream. And he added the adventures to it. Good job. Ryan Hemming, they are in Moab. Yes, they are. And I wish I could have made that trip, honestly. But anyway, good folks over there. We appreciate them. And if you ever get a chance to go to a Bronco Nation base camp, where they have a event they're going to be at, the pancakes and now burgers, right?
Oh, yeah.
You haven't had their pancakes. Right, yeah.
But the burger, the
pancakes are awesome, right?
The first year we had breakfast and a dinner there.
You did have
the burgers
are awesome.
Yeah. The burgers the first year. I remember there was like a tent with a line.
So this is food talk. We're going to trade recipes tonight. How's that? What's your favorite hamburger? How do you make it? Anyway, yeah. So we had a really good time, and we have a guest that dropped in tonight. I texted him a little bit ago and said, "Hey, you want to join because we have some cool stuff to talk about?" And thankfully, he said yes. So he's going to join the live stream here. So let's go ahead and try to do this, Gavin. You want to do it?
That was the weirdest way to say
Oh, hey.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey. Golly, what happened there?
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you were in the middle of something important there, Tim.
Yeah. That's always a good thing, right?
That's like one of these introductions. I'm not trying to make it, really cool and all that. It's just like, hey, just bring Tim onto the camera when he wasn't expecting it. So what's going on,
There
Tim?
you go. Not a whole lot, but Dwayne, I'll tell you what, I really think Gavin will support me on this. We need to get our own theme music. When WWE wrestlers come out, they come out from the backdrop and they go down. We need whenever one of us comes in, we just need our own intro music there.
Yeah, so you need to get like the it's the branding intro.
Absolutely.
We need
yes. We'll get an El Bronco Santa original song that we can play.
Yeah. Was it like Jingle Bells or Sleigh Bells or anything like that? Or does it have to be
absolutely Jingle Bells?
Yeah.
The Bronco smells. Gavin dropped a fart.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
See?
He probably
Dad
did. Who knows?
The one to do that because he.
Hey, wait a minute. Let me ask you.
Oh, Gavin's telling.
Yeah, he's not telling anything. Gavin's like, you're on a live stream, dude. Come on, man. This dude,
Oh man.
You see why he's my
Yeah.
Who does that sound like? Yeah. But the co-host here always grilling the host. I mean, anyway. So it's pretty cool. Tim, so we had a good time, Super Celebration East 2023. I didn't really get to talk to you about that. So last week I was out. Obviously, if somebody watched the live stream, you'll see that I was not, I was in like a hotel type thing. My mother had heart surgery last Wednesday and all went well.
Good.
And hopefully she's watching tonight. Maybe. Think she's watching? No.
I don't think she does. I
don't think she's watching. Yeah, she'll watch it in replay. She does watch these, by the way, because she likes her grandson. And she likes her son too, right? But it's like she really likes her grandson.
Do you get these little notes that says, Dwayne, you need to watch your language?
Yeah.
Things like that from mom
on
Thursday mornings.
Yeah, Mom, it's not Sam Adams, it's apple juice.
There you go.
But yeah, so anyway, it's pretty cool stuff. But Broncos Super Celebration East, so we want to kind of pick up where I couldn't really go into much detail last week. It was a super good, awesome event. Bronco Driver Magazine, Tom and all the volunteers and all the crew that he has there. We talked about that briefly. Put together a great event. Tim, where do you see this Super Celebration East going? Because now there's multiple. Where do you see East going every year? Do you think it's a net 500 Bronco, net 300 Bronco a year growth, or what do you think?
I definitely saw big growth this year over last year. Obviously, I did not go the year before, but last year going, this was, that was the first year that privately owned Gen 6 Broncos were showing up. This year, I would have to guess, I don't know the numbers, but I would have to guess that there was at least twice as many there. And I think, truly it is a great event. I was looking at some of the area when I was doing the video the other day. I was looking at some of the aerial shots, and it looks like there's holes in the field where there weren't vehicles, but that was just where people had left to go off and do one of the many activities that they have there. So there was a full field, and it I just truly see it growing. I see it continuing to grow because I think it's good outdoor family fun, and that's, I think, is something that a lot of families are looking for.
Yeah, and a lot of times, and one thing we're going to try to hit on with Mr. Gavin here is the fact that if you think about it as being an adult only type thing, there was a lot of kids there this year. But I can tell you, if you're thinking about going and you have kids and you're wondering if they're going to have fun or not, just go for most of the day.
Pigeon Forge.
Yeah, I was going. Well, I'm going to let you tell the story because you kind of, and just kind of get right to the point. But if you have kids and you want to go do some stuff, Gavin can tell you what you should do real quick. Like in top 5 things, what would you do?
Alpine coaster.
All right. Well, hold on. Where would you stay first? Pigeon Forge?
Yeah.
Okay. And then what's your favorite rides?
So 2 different alpine coasters. Zorbing, which is you're in a big ball rolling down a hill with water in it. And
sounds like fun.
It really is.
Tim, we try to avoid stuff like that, right? Like, but yeah.
Yeah, at my age, I'd have to have some extra padding.
Yeah. So what else? Go-karts?
Yes, go-karts, swimming, and there also is a theme park that we did there, or that we didn't do there.
Yeah, we didn't. Yeah, right.
It's like Dollywood, I think. Yeah,
so if you're looking at Super Celebration East, and if you're watching this live, thanks for joining us. By the way, hit that thumbs up for me. And but if you're watching on replay and you're looking and saying, "Well, do I want to do this or not?" It's really it's just a lot of fun, right? And it's even better when the weather's great. We had great weather last year, all weekend, and we had it for 3 quarters or more this year. But
yeah, I was going to say, Saturday wasn't all that bad either. Mid 60s, throughout the day. We did have the pop-up rain shower that came through.
Yep.
Kind of cooled everything down. It was about a 20-minute thing, and then it was gone. So in reality, it wasn't bad for April. No complaints.
Hey, Nick, good night. Sorry you got to leave so early, but thanks for tuning in, by the way. Yeah, so I look at it as if you have kids and you want to go, I can tell you from, Gavin going, of course, he likes the Bronco stuff.
Yeah.
But, at his age, even at the end of the day, he's like, all right, this is fun. Let me go do something in Pigeon Forge. So there's something to do. So if you have kids, take them. If you don't, it's kind of a cool time to relax, enjoy. Time really flies there too, Tim. The one thing I notice is you'll start talking to someone, and the next thing you know, it's 2 hours later. and we almost missed the trail drive that we were leading.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to tell everybody how I was almost throwing you underneath the bus on that one? What did I tell you about you leading it, though?
You said that if I lead it and we miss a turn, that nobody will blame you.
It's your fault.
It'll always be my fault.
I was following Tim. I don't know what I told him.
And I would say that I was using the Bronco trail maps, but that hadn't been released yet.
I was going to say, yeah. So you're just zinging right into the next.
Well, I am zinging today. Yes, sir.
Yeah. No. So Bronco trail map. So we'll talk about that. But yeah, Bronco Super Celebration East. To wrap that up, it was a good time. It was a great time. Thanks for Tom and everyone there for asking us to lead that drive up to Roaring Fork. That was fun. It was cool. I liked it. Gatlinburg's I like Pigeon Forge better, but Gatlinburg is a very cool place to go as well. I think the only thing I have over there is about the parking, right? A little harder to park.
Oh yeah, and Gatlinburg. So Pigeon Forge offers more. If anybody's familiar with Kissimmee, Florida, Orlando area, it's that same kind of vibe down the main drag in Pigeon Forge. Obviously, you have the theme park there, where Gatlinburg's a little more like an older town with all kinds of cool shops and places and museums, like the Ripley's Museum. So almost two completely different experiences. And that's good for the families, young kids, stuff like that. And I didn't realize this the last time, and now I know why. They do refer to the Townsend side of the mountain as the peaceful side of the mountain. Because last year when we went, we actually stayed in Townsend. This year we stayed in Pigeon Forge, and it was a little bit different, but not bad. Because one of the things that we last year we would by the time you got back to the hotel, you got cleaned up. It's time to go eat dinner. It's 8:00, and like everything is closing in Townsend at 8:30 or 9:00. So we'd end up having to go to Pigeon Forge anyways to eat dinner. And that's part of the reason why we stayed over there and to spend time with you, Dwayne, and Gavin, of course.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing, because that's where we Becky picked that hotel like the first time we went. She said, "Hey, this is what's available. Do you like it or not?" It worked. I like it.
No complaints. The hotel was a decent hotel. No complaints about the cost, and
breakfast was good.
And the breakfast was good. Yes, I eat breakfast there every day.
Yeah, you guys were jamming on that breakfast every day. Me, I was just doing the Dunkin' Donuts, and I do a lot.
I did have a hot chocolate mostly every day there, every morning.
Hot there.
But
hot chocolate for breakfast? Come on, man.
No, but like with because they had some type of sausage and then eggs. So, they also had biscuits one day.
Can we go through the comments here real quick?
Yeah.
Andy Ackerman, thank you for that $2.99 super sticker. You're awesome, Andy. Thank you very much. What is going on with you? Tell us a little bit about what's happening with you and your Bronco. Deal me in, and I do appreciate that, Andy, very much, by the way. Deal me in for a 2024 PF Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg equals tourist trap. I hear you. And yeah, there's a lot of stuff over there going on. Bronco 78 Adventures. Yep, I prefer to stay west of there. Yeah. So, and talking to Craig, he likes the quiet, the outdoors, the trails and stuff like that. And I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, if I went over there by myself, I'd probably stay in Townsend as well. Right. But this dude here needs to spend some energy. So guess what? That's where we're going. Pigeon Forge.
I'd be climbing a tree.
And the go-karts. He loves the go-karts. I do love the restaurants over there.
I wish they were like Le Mans.
But that's all right. Le Mans is right down the road. You don't have to drive 12 or 10 hours to go, whatever it is, to go get it. Let's see.
Yeah, no, Le Mans is 9 minutes away?
Less touristy, Maryville and Alcoa. Very good. Ford Video Guy. Hey, what is going on? Thanks for joining us tonight, Tim.
I'm already here.
The other Tim.
Oh no!
The other. Hey Tim. Thanks for joining us. By the way,
oddly enough, I am the other Tim.
Did you know we were live? By the way, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
This is recorded to be edited.
Yeah, Bronco 78. Now I got to get. I'm used to saying Bronco 78. Now I've got to add adventures onto it. No, it's actually pretty cool. See, if I was to bring the kids and get caught up in Pigeon Forge tourist trap, I wouldn't be able to afford to go to Supercell. Yeah, I hear you. So Supercell's fun. The entire event's fun. Going, riding around doing some fun stuff. Pigeon Forge is always blessed. So Tim, let's move on here. Yesterday, we woke up to Laura's article over at the Bronco Nation, where the Ford, let's get this right here, the Bronco Trail app for the trail maps went live yesterday.
Yes.
So I immediately downloaded it yesterday, and
You and 299,000 other people.
I'm sure. And you know what? I know it's probably going to have bugs, right? Especially with all the downloads and everything going on. I would imagine it's not going to be perfect, which I'm not looking for it to be perfect. But also, what's the opportunity do you think we have in helping to build this out, right? With when you record your video, your audio, your telemetry, you can set all of that up in this app. It's actually pretty cool. What do you think about that?
Well, I tell you what, one of the things, I actually went out tonight and took a drive on a loop and recorded it. Now, first thing I learned is that, because the way my holder is on my phone, I have my phone set in like portrait mode. It films in landscape. So it took my portrait mode video and turned it sideways. And it does film in landscape because of the telemetry that it puts down on the bottom. I got a clip of that if you wanted to show it. If not, it's not a big deal. But what I do like in the video, I think it's a great couple things. It could be a great tool for people to go back and evaluate what they did. It does a couple things. It tells you your speed, tells you your RPMs at a certain moment, so you can watch maybe as you're hitting obstacles, and to go back and reevaluate that. I think it's obviously cool from the bragging rights to say, hey, check out what I did. And also for content creators like us. From the content creator standpoint, though, the downfall I saw with it, and it's not bad. I record everything in 4K with my iPhones and everything. The stick is an old man, Tim. Andy. But the thing is, it only records in 1080p or 720. So for 99% of the people using that'll be probably more than enough for what their needs. I would have liked to have gotten a 4K video out of it, but that's my personal take on it. I did find that there are some, I'm not going to call them bugs, but I'm going to say
Beetles.
What did you call it?
Beetles.
Okay. Just some things like when you fire it up, you have to go back out into the Ford sync application and actually tell it that it's okay to have the vehicle communicate with the app inside of iPhone. So Apple or CarPlay. I'm assuming the same thing would be for the Android Play. That wasn't super obvious. I did have it when I tried hitting record like 4 times. It just shut down the app on me. But like you said, it's version 1.0. So the nice thing with Android and Apple, they can push out updates pretty quickly and get those updated. As far as the maps, I looked at a couple places that are here in my area. It's got, I don't know if this was they contracted people to go out and do this. It seemed like there was all these points on the map on the trail. We'll call them obstacles, points of interest, for lack of a better word.
Right.
And there was like 3 pictures of each, and it was always the same blue F-150. So that was in the thing. Some were taken from like the side of the vehicle. Some were taken looking back at the vehicle.
So you had an F-150 in yours?
Yes, but the 2 places that I looked at here in Indiana, it was the same vehicle in them. So I don't know if they had contracted somebody to go out and kind of to collect this digital data to compile this database first. I didn't see anywhere in there where you could add stuff to it or suggest edits, but I may not have been looking closely enough, and it's always possible that maybe that's something they intend to open up down the road.
So there was in most of our videos, there's an Area 51 Bronco. So maybe that, I was thinking, well, I'm trying to log in. For some reason, it logged me out earlier. I think it's going to be a learning curve, right?
There will be a learning curve.
So something's not quite right. So I can't even log in right now. So who knows? Maybe I'm trying to do this live is too much. But yes, your email and your password, whatever you set that up. So
yep.
I was trying to check the telemetry through it, and it looks to me like, and there again, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Gavin, you and I are going to go play with it, I guess, this weekend. But it looks like to check, say, tire pressure. And I don't mean just on the app, but I mean in this for when you air down type thing, it looks like the Bronco has to be running. If you go to your Ford Pass app, you can tell the fuel, you can tell a lot of stuff, mileage with it off, right? Oil, life left, things like that. But it looks like tire pressure's got to be running. So my Bronco was snoozing away until this afternoon. I had to go wake it up, actually. I couldn't do it with the app.
That's interesting. I think I saw something about that. Is this something that's been going on for a couple of days?
Yeah, well, I posted it yesterday. Yeah, it was called deep. Okay. It was in deep sleep mode. So basically, when it's doing that, you can't. Are you leaving? Mm-hmm. Come here, man. You got to say. I know I've been talking here. Talk about whatever for just a couple minutes, and then you're out. Are you tired? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's doing our show this late. Hey, Tim, we'll pick up on this in just a second.
Okay.
What did you want to talk about? So we were talking about Supercell, the Bronco trail maps, and Bronco trims. Mm-hmm. If you had to guess, if you had to pick, if Ford's going to come out with 2 new Bronco trims next week, and then Tim and I are going to jump into this in just a second, what would it be? You might want to stand up so people can see you, because you're like, see how you look right there?
I don't know.
You're like lounging. What would you want to see? Would you want to see a truck version?
It's like the old one. The
half cab?
Yeah, half cab.
All right, so you'd want to see something like that. What about, because I kind of led you into that. What else would you want to see? What would make Gavin spend $70,000 on a Bronco?
That's hard because there's already like
9 trims.
13. No.
There's 9 trims out there. So real quick, what do you think? Would it be performance, off-road, a look? What would you think?
Look and performance.
Performance?
And look.
Looks. So
Both of them.
Look. I know it's a Bronco. Nobody yell at me in the comments. But wider tires, lower profile? Totally street version of a Bronco?
Maybe.
All right. Think about that.
Wider tires, lowered.
Different wheels, different stuff like that. Okay. All right.
800 horsepower. Like just take an engine from the Velociraptor.
Well, yeah, that's not going to happen.
From Hennessy.
We're with the four cylinders and the V6.
Hennessy just needs to make a Raptor.
All right.
Like a 800 horsepower Raptor.
All right, man. Good night.
See ya, everybody.
Good night, Gavin.
Gavin's out. When we start the show at 9:00, it's like, eating into his bedtime there. So, Tim, what were we talking about? We were talking about deep sleep, right, on the Bronco?
Yep.
So, basically, I hadn't driven my Bronco in a week, since Supercell. And I had to get in it tonight and open the door and manually crank it up. I couldn't use anything to crank it up. I just hit the button and it cranked right up.
That makes sense if it's been sitting. Honestly, I mean, I drive mine almost every day. So I think the longest maybe is I went out on a trip and I left it at the airport, parking. But I didn't have any problems getting into it. Battery depletion. I did notice something real quick. Bronco 78 Adventures. You got to say that 3 times.
Yeah.
Mentioned that they said on the other live stream, I'm assuming they meant the Bronco Nation one, that the new content would only be added by Ford, and it would be based off of trails that they think are suitable for the Gen 6 Bronco. Oh,
see, originally the idea was you were going to contribute.
Yeah.
you know, and like help build it out. That's why I said
Yeah.
what I said on the
Well,
video.
and I believe, you know, Onyx, Gaia, those kind of communities, they are that way too. And I feel like if they're gonna make this investment, they're gonna probably do what they can to compete with the other trail map companies that, you know, that they might make some changes. You know, the other side, I think, at least right now, they're not charging for this app, which, you know, I could probably see that would happen in the future.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because you know, like originally it was, and maybe I misunderstood this. I thought that you were going to contribute and you were going to get to record. It doesn't matter. I mean, the fact is that there has to be some control. You just can't have people uploading stuff and, you know, someone
Yeah.
taking you for serious, right?
Oh yeah.
I wish I could log in right now, but one thing I do like is it talked about the total length of time it should take to run this particular trail I was looking at.
Yeah.
Also, the elevation, the max elevation. The other thing, it was, what was the thing? Let's see, it was elevation, moderate. So it's like there's three categories: easy, moderate, and difficult. And there was something else in there. Basically, it just showed how long it should take you to do it.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting. It also mentioned different campsites throughout this one particular trail. So on this one trail, there's different camping areas throughout. So if you want to stay overnight, you can. So that is interesting. We have this here in Virginia. There's Nova Broncos, like stands for Northern Virginia Broncos. Then there's Virginia Area Broncos, and then there's our group that we started, Virginia Broncos. I think we probably all need to get together and form one group, because there's so much going on that, you know, there could be a lot of really great meetups, because I see something. But my point was that it's easy to put out something, say, hey, I'm going to such and such trail this weekend. I want to do some camping. Anyone interested? Right.
I tell you, and just as a thought, our group here, the Indiana Broncos, just recently divided up into, we'll call it 3 sections. So Northern Indiana, Southern Indiana, and Central Indiana. And they've kind of appointed a party liaison. You know, I don't know what you call it. Yeah, basically a coordinator that will coordinate events and stuff like that. Because sometimes people, you know, before, people were just saying, hey, there's 10 of us in the area, we're going to get together for, you know, a meetup or whatever. Do you want to join? And so they're formalizing the process a little bit more. But I definitely like the idea, because, you know, Indiana's a fairly long state, up and down, that breaking it up into regions like that and trying to maybe not necessarily, I mean, anybody's welcome, but target people that are a little bit more geographically located. Now I did see also that Bronco 78 Adventures in the chat said that something about he wasn't going to use no stinking trail apps from Bronco, and because he's got a vintage classic Gen 2 Ranger XLT Bronco. We are going to go find a head unit from a Gen 6 Bronco and slap it in there so he can use it.
There you go. Make it happen.
That's what we're going to do.
Yeah, that's right up your alley there, Tim. I'm sure you can figure out the tech on that.
Oh, absolutely.
I can mount it to the Bronco, and you just make it work. Let's see. Deal me in for 22. Matt Winter said it'll be just Ford curated maps. Yeah. Okay. That's what we're kind of talking about. Andy Ackerman said battery saver mode. Yes, Andy, it is interesting. It's never done that before, and it's sat for more than a week before. Just curious. My diesel F-250 went in for a recall, an emissions recall. Nothing wrong with it. But they poked and prodded on the computer and changed the setting. Now it goes through regen about every other time I drive it, which I'm not happy with. Let's see. Jonathan Falls, Shelby. There you go. So I'm assuming that was talking about the future trims, which we're going to work into that in just a second. The last segment we're going to talk about is the future trims of the Bronco, and how I almost had to make a major correction in my videoing. I have a video uploaded to YouTube unlisted that I was just wrong in, and we'll talk about that in a second. But the trail map. So the idea there, it's pretty cool. I was thinking, because I haven't off-roaded a lot at all or very little, for me, it's great. Okay, this trail, someone's got pictures of it. I can get an idea. Of course, I could go to YouTube and look at videos of someone posting. But here's the difficulty, moderate. Okay, no big deal. What to kind of expect, duration. If you, on average, how long does it take you to do it? There's camping sites throughout, so that's kind of cool. I can plan to camp there if I want to. So it really, for someone like me, it's beneficial that it gives me the ability to, without knowing that trail, to almost plan my weekend. You know what I mean?
Oh, definitely. And that is actually, I think, part of the feature set of the application is that you can map out a destination, kind of create an agenda with it, trip itinerary, and save that to your vehicle. And so if you are in an area where you don't have internet access, I believe this app will do it. I know Onyx does that, where you can save all the maps of a particular area. And so when you get out off the beaten path and away from a cell phone signal, you can have that. And I'm assuming that's going to be in there. If not, I'm sure it will be soon, because they'll hear me complain about it. But
I want to speak to the manager. Yeah,
that's right.
So, but well, I've told you extensively about Gavin and I's first camping trip where there's no communication. So as soon as Becky has started the process of getting our GMRS radios that you recommended to us up and going, and once that's done, I'll feel a little bit better. At least there's one more layer. But something like this would be interesting with the satellite, right? So you feel like it would be nice to be able to communicate at what if. I don't mean chit-chatting where you're going to dinner, but like an SOS type thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so Bronco 78 said, that is where Georgia Broncos has been so successful. There's not many other Bronco groups in the area. Yeah, and speaking of Georgia Broncos, I reached out to them. I wanted to tell their story. But the really cool thing that they're doing about that, helping they're restoring a Bronco to give it to someone special. Let's just say that. I don't know if everyone knows about it, but I've reached out to them, and apparently they were going to do it at Supercell, and timing didn't work out. Hey, you're talking to the guy that builds houses 4.5 days on national TV. If you want to talk about how to drum up, like, reach out to me, right? Because I can really help you with that. How to drum up a tension and energy and momentum, and that's what all these projects are about, really. So anyway, Bronco 78, thanks for mentioning Georgia Broncos. They do have a huge group. They have a nice trailer. Mm-hmm. They have a nice organization, great website, really well-run group. So I think for me, if we wanted to start an actual, not just Facebook group, but Virginia Broncos actual group, modeling it off of something like Georgia Broncos would probably be smart. Reaching out to them and saying, hey, what can you share with us that
I would definitely say, from the outside looking in, that is definitely a great role model on a automotive enthusiast group.
Yep.
In what they do. They always, like I said, I don't know the inside politics of the group or the organization, sure, but from an outsider looking in, they have their stuff together, and it's a great presentation. Yeah. And if you go look, they like it at Supercell, they had all the generations of Broncos lined up, and they've got a nice plaque out front with all the details of it, specifically a red 1978. I'm sorry, white over red over white. I don't know how they do it. 1978 Bronco Ranger XLT.
White over red.
White over red Bronco Ranger XLT, which is, by far the best Gen 2 Bronco out there.
Yeah. So, is this breathing all right now or what? I mean, remember the dust trail. We'll let Bronco 78. You can chime in on that one. Yeah, but he has Hey, don't forget, all jokes
Hmm.
aside, the white and red, the white over red Bronco 78. Bronco is one of 150 something, I think it was. Craig, why don't you tell us? It was like 150, 160, something like that. That's out of 78,000 Broncos or 77,900 and some change in 1978. That's pretty rare. You got to figure a lot of those Broncos aren't even in existence anymore. But yeah, but we were talking about these groups and trails and things like that. I think that when you go out, say Virginia Broncos, right? If I've been invited to go to different things, we're going to Withville to. There's a Bronco event, Southwestern Virginia, the end of May. We'll be there. So Gavin and I, we were going over our schedule, Tim. May 13th, we'll be at in Statesville, North Carolina, at a Bronco event there at Firehouse Vintage Customs. We're going to be at Bronco trucks, things like that. We're going to be there. And then the week after that is Withville. And then 2 weeks after that, I think, roughly, is Carlisle. And then, it's going from there. So this year is going to be definitely the year of travel and experiencing and videoing and all that cool stuff. But getting back to the trails and the groups thing. So if I want to go as a novice, and Ford knows that there's a lot of new off-roaders with the 6th-gen Bronco, right? Something like this makes it a lot easier. The barrier to entry is a lot lower. I mean, wouldn't you say, and you feel like there's more of a safety net there?
I would, based on what Craig had posted, I think it was Craig, about the Ford curating the maps for trails that they feel are within the capability of the Gen 6 Bronco. I agree. I mean, one of the things with like once again with Gaia on X, I mean, those are side by sides, high clearance vehicles. I mean, it's all over the map, and there's some categories with that, but it isn't somebody going back and saying, "Yep, that's something you could do with a Bronco," understanding that you're going to have a wide variety of skill level, all the way from beginner to advanced off-roader.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, you should always go wheeling with a buddy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who knows what can happen.
You never know when you're gonna get stuck in a mud pit.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, something dramatic, right? Roll off of trails or stuck or something like that. But what if you just have a flat? Okay, well, you have a spare. You put the spare on. What if the spare goes flat? I mean, it's little things, and then the weather changes. One of the interesting things about Townsend, I don't know what the temperature was, the low, but it got pretty cold at night and then heated up pretty well. So you could go from a sweat jacket to a short sleeve shirt in a matter of 2 hours, because just the way the weather is in the mountains, it changes quick. So what about you go wheeling? It's the afternoon, it's warm, you're having fun, you get stuck, something breaks down. Now you're having to spend overnight in the mountains. It gets cold. So going with a buddy, being prepared, doing all that good stuff. And I'm sure the trail maps is going to add some layers of that, not just where to go, but maybe there'll be some educational stuff. I know there's a section in there for education, and I didn't go through that yet. I don't know what they're offering on that, but I think it's pretty cool that there's so many new people to, like myself, to, the off-roading, the wheeling experience, and also the overlanding and the camping, because I'll call that different. Overlanding's one thing, camping's another, right? I'm not going to call myself an overlander if I go camping one weekend out of the month. Am I wrong on that?
Well, yes and no. I mean, camping is camping, whether you do it one weekend or you go out for 2 weeks straight.
Right.
The concept of overlanding is being self-contained, everything with you, and a nice, neat, organized, box and bag in your car. So, with your rooftop tent. But it really, I mean, you can overland with a ground tent. It doesn't have to be a trailer or a a thing. It's just basically having everything you need with you to do that.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be, I don't know. I'm really looking forward to it this year. And the trail maps, I want to be able to use those and record stuff and actually try to contribute to that. I know I can't contribute to it based on what I was told tonight, but at least on YouTube, right? We can kind of talk about how we used it to maneuver a trail or to learn a trail or whatever its case. I just think it's really cool that, July 13th, 2020, it was part of the launch. And so here we are 3 years later and it's showing up. Not quite 3 years later and it's showing up. So I think it's pretty
really
cool.
Upset people when that didn't happen.
You know what? I get it. It was a different time in our country's history. I mean, we look at and we can go into Bronco trims as next, and which is going to go hand in hand with sales and the economy. Oh Lord, no politics though. However, there's reality in when it comes to the economy. So I think wrapping it up on the trails, I can't wait to use it. I'm going to. Here we are in Chesapeake, Virginia. We're going to the mountains. We go to Luray a lot. But suddenly now there's this other option. There's this one trail that I keep honing in on. And I look at it. I see the pictures. I see where you can camp. I see how long it's going to take. I see the elevation. Cool, let's go. So that's our first trip this year. We're going to bypass Luray at first and go to this trail. And that's based on the Ford trail app. Now, of course, I'm going to do some recon. I'm going to look at videos, people that shot videos and stuff like that.
Looking at the map, that whole area that you're in seems to be void of entry in trees.
Yeah.
It's almost up into the western part of the state there.
Well, it's there. Virginia. Yeah, you've got to drive for us 3 hours to get there. So
there's Central North Carolina. There's one. Well,
that's a little further though for us, right? Anytime you have to go through Raleigh, Durham, and Interstate 40, it's 5 hours, 6 hours. Statesville is going to be like 6 hours, and that's going that general direction. So I'll stick with Virginia mountains as far as our weekend trips, because Gavin and I can head up there on a Saturday morning, like last year when we went to Luray. We got up there Saturday around midday, and we left Sunday late afternoon. And of course, had 1,000 messages. People freaking out, couldn't find me, couldn't get a hold of me. The need for GMRS or something. But anyway, so what do you think? Let's go through some of the comments here. And what do you think about the Bronco trims coming up? We're going to talk about that next and get your thoughts about that. Let's go on.
And another one. And another one.
And another one. And I have a theory on it. I'm going to tell you how I almost screwed up on that. Bronco 78 Adventure said, unfortunately, I usually end up wheeling alone. Well, my friend, you're not going to wheel this summer, at least all summer alone, because Gavin and I are coming down and you're going to take us on some of the service roads. And I think we're going to try to camp out there.
Is that your opportunity to eat his dust?
No, I'm not. No. The requirements
you're going to roll the windows up, turn the air conditioning on, aren't you?
With the recirculation going, the cabin air filter doing that thing. I feel bad for Craig. I looked in the mirror. So the story is in Townsend, we went to Cades Cove. And I can't remember the name of the road. Maybe he wants to chime in, but we did that 11-mile gravel road through the mountains.
Richard's something, I think. Richard's Road or... And that was only to bypass the tourists who kept running into the field where they're stopping their cars and getting out of their car in the middle of the road and
take pictures of the bear.
Oh, Lord.
There was a lot of bear there, but look, folks, I'm not going to tell anybody on this stream because I know if you're watching this stream, you're in the Bronco community, you know. But these people were stopping in the middle of the road and getting out, and so then no one could pass by. I think, Tim, that got your blood pressure creeping, didn't it?
I get it. If you want to take pictures of the wildlife, that's fine.
Yeah.
Pull your vehicle off to the road so people can pass. Don't just stop in the middle of the road, flip your door open, run out and leave your car there and not allow anybody else to, the 30 other cars that are behind you that might want to be able to see that as they pass by.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That guy really. Yeah.
Blue Explorer. So Big O said, always prepare for self-recovery. So we're talking about the trail,
Yes.
but this might be one of those cases you have to self-recover yourself by going around someone stopped on the middle of a perfectly fine road. Let's see. Big O said, winch is my next big ticket item. Mine as well. Big O, we lights and winch is a absolute must on our Bronco. Let's see. Bronco 78 was talking about here. Let's go to the back of the comments here. Big O said it kills me when city folks stop and look at the freaking deer. Wait till you see them look at bears. That's even more kind of like stopping there.
And
but
they charge out into the field.
Jamie Castleberry said, did Cades Cove, didn't get to see the bears. Yeah. So I hear you. Well, we were there in the afternoon and Craig was saying, he says, I think he said, I bet, or I think we're going to see a lot of bears today when we headed over that way. And sure enough, there was, to the left, to the right, there was one.
Yeah. I think we saw 3 different bears in different locations.
Remember
there might have been multiple bears, but
remember the one near the road and the guy was out in the field with the long lens on his camera?
Yeah.
We didn't read about him, did we? So I guess everything worked out all right.
Yeah.
Let's see. Rich Mountain. Okay, Rich Mountain Road.
Rich Mountain, okay.
So we were telling the story. We were in Cades Cove. We went past the church. We hit Rich Mountain Road and we headed back to Townsend. So luckily, I was leading the pack. Tim was behind me, and Bronco 78 Adventures was third. And I kept looking in a mirror, and I felt bad. It was dry, and man, it was dusty. Gosh, it was dusty. And
and let's not forget, you did your first water crossing there too.
I did my first. It was 2-3 inches deep. But
no. Well, maybe off the side of the road, it was 2-3 inches deep. It was just a very thin layer of water that crossed the over the road section.
Come on, man! You're supposed
but it was an active creek, and it was wet.
It was a natural flow of water.
It was a natural flow of water.
Look, I was looking for the drama there, like 3 inches of water. But look, my Bronco for the first time, everybody gives me grief about it, so I play along. It hasn't been off road yet. It's sand, Outer Banks,
I honestly think you should reshoot that underneath shot of the Bronco driving over, and do a side by side comparison of then and now.
Well,
clean, couple specks of dirt.
Yeah,
side by side.
You mean progression? As I
wear it? Well, no, as you drive over the camera, do them side by side. One with it completely clean, one with a couple specks of dirt and a All Terrain Nation sticker on it as you drive over.
Yeah, because by the way, if you didn't see that video, it's kind of funny. It ended up getting tagged up there in Detroit. It's like I went to Detroit for 1 weekend. I came back with stickers on my Bronco.
Get your Bronco tagged in Detroit.
Yeah.
At Ford's Garage.
At Ford's Garage of all places.
On the campus of the old Ford complex there.
During a live stream that I didn't watch.
Yes.
Imagine that. Dang. But anyway, that's something else about the Bronco group. It's time that I take my Bronco out and kind of bash up the bash plates, I guess. And so that'll be a really good comparison video, right? When there's like damage underneath the Bronco.
Mm-hmm.
But no, we will be taking, this year it's getting dirty. The news worn off. That's cool. Hey, Tim, I still remember the days where I couldn't, I didn't have a new vehicle, right? So somewhere in the back of my subconscious, that's why I take care of my vehicles. It wasn't so long ago I couldn't afford to buy chocolate chip cookies, much less a new vehicle. So I think somewhere in the whole joke of that, there's a seriousness that I don't want to tear it up. However, we're going to use it this year. It's going to have fun. Hey, let's go through some of the comments and we're going to talk about the new trims. Bronco 78 said Ryan Hammond, Earl's Ford. Oh, okay. I guess. Oh, which water crossing? okay. Yeah, and it was kind of a joke. I'm sure if it rains a lot, it's a decent amount, but not for where we were when we were there. Um, yeah, let's see. I'll join you guys. All right, so Ryan, we'll have to let you know. So you'll join when you guys. We're going to Georgia this year. I don't know. We're going to work out the time, right? So we have to fit it into everything we've got going, but we are going, and we'll let you know. That'd be great if you could meet us there. Let's see. Anything else before? Ryan Hemme said, snorkel and winch are two things I don't need to buy my setup with the Everglades. Yeah, and I know some people like the Everglades, some people don't like them. I think they're cool. Yeah, and the reason why I think they're cool because Ford gave you a huge head start to that overlanding, off-roading type stuff. The snorkel, some people don't think they need them, and that's fine. But the winch and the slide-out tailgate, if nothing else, with wheels that I guess now you can order those wheels from Ford Performance, but at the time they were only available on the Everglades. So,
well,
wanna.
And they do have the old style wheel wells on them where it's not the rounded one, it's the kind of straight up curved over and then rounded in the front,
kind of squared off. Yeah,
it kind of squared off. I personally I think that would have been the way to go for all the Broncos.
Well, let me ask you about that. So we're going to get into the trims now. The next part, the last part here, is all the new Bronco trims coming. Now, Tim, I talked to you about that earlier. What did you think about the Motor Trend article? Because that was the one that I'd read.
Yeah, and I read it too. It was very vague on details. It was more, yeah, we're going to do something, but we're not going to tell you about it yet. So there you go. But I personally think we've heard it. We've talked about it on live streams. We talked about it with Dave and Kelly on All Terrain Nation. It seems like there's a lot of trims available, and kind of feel like they need to scale that back some. So I don't know if adding new trims is the way to go. But, are they, you hear a lot of people talking about, are they going to come out with an EV or electric version of it? I think so. Does that need to be another trim per se, or is it just a different power plant option? Or maybe not. I don't know enough about automobile classification that maybe it has to be its own trim level. We've seen some artist renderings of or some doctored photos of what maybe a Bronco truck would look like. I saw some comments in here earlier talking about people would I think kind of like that if they could replicate that old school half cab style Bronco. I think that would be the way to go.
Yeah, I really think, and I was going to listen to it again. There's a podcast, if you haven't heard of it, called Bring Back Bronco. So if you go to your podcast and search Bring Back Bronco, you'll see that there's like a 5 or 6 or 7 episode story. And I guess this is something that Ford organized. And there was this person there, automotive journalist. I forget his name. I'd love to announce his name here if I could think of his name right off. But really well, just a great presentation, right? I loved listening to him talk about the story because he took you through. It was a story. He wasn't reading a script. He kind of like took you through this so you were there, right? And it's about how it's mixing current day events into the past. Bronco started, what happened to it, why did they quit, and all of the near misses that it took to bring the 6th gen Bronco back. I think everyone that's a Bronco enthusiast needs to listen to it, because you'll find out that the Bronco coming back was the Bronco Underground, a group of people at Ford that would never let it go, and they were always working with what they were working on at work, right, as their project, their day job. They were always trying to fit, how would they make a new Bronco into it, right? And it's I don't want to be a spoiler if you haven't heard it, but basically because of the Ranger going in MAP, they needed a second vehicle for production, and the Bronco happened, right? But the reason why the Bronco happened is they'd done all this market research, they've done the homework, they had spent the time to present it to the people in charge at Ford to say, hey, we have a viable option here. To think about, it could have been one person's decision not to bring it back is kind of scary, but that's the reality. They had the green light to do it years ago, and at last minute, it just went off the radar. So bring back Bronco. It's a podcast. Highly recommend you listen to it. It is just awesome. But Tim, talking about that is, when you think about the Bronco and bringing it back, you think about the trims. In that podcast, they talk about briefly a truck version, right? Mm-hmm. It was designed at some point, at least on paper, that there's an option for it. Now, whether it's ever seriously being thought of, it's not just a rendering from some independent artist. They've got the idea for it. They've got the design for it. So would it happen? I don't know. I think Ford's worked themselves into a good problem to have. And that good problem is Michigan Assembly Plant is a relatively small assembly plant. They have a very popular vehicle in the Ford Bronco, which maybe next quarter Bronco sales take over Jeep for the first time ever, since whenever. They're within, I don't know. I want to say within 8 or 10,000 of doing it now. But
I was gonna say, I think in that same, when I was looking at the other article or the article on Motor Trend, I think there was something in there talking about the Bronco cutting seriously deep into both Jeep and Toyota sales.
Oh yeah, so the Jeep and 4Runner has lost market share. They're losing sales. The Bronco's up, I want to say 37% year over year. But basically Q1, they're within striking distance. They're within one really good month of taking over the lead between Jeep and the 4Runner. And that's pretty incredible considering, had we not have this point in time in history, it would have happened last year. But I think it's getting ready to happen. I think you'll see it this year. I think barring anything else. But what I started to say was they've got this popular vehicle. They've got a small assembly plant, but they also build the Ranger. So the Ranger is sort of that lame duck kind of a thing right now because a lot of people are anticipating the new Ranger, the next generation, the 7th gen. Mm-hmm. So what's going to happen when they have the Ranger Raptors, the Ranger, the standard Ranger, whether they do a wild track or whatever they do, that they have another super popular vehicle coming out of the same small assembly plant. So the men and women that build these Broncos and these Rangers up at MAP, all respect to you guys because you're getting it done. You're cranking the vehicles out. But there comes a point where Bronco, they built more Broncos in the first quarter than they did Rangers. And part of that's because, like I said, less attention there, less people wanting it, anticipating the 24. But the other thing is there's so many Broncos to be built, and be pushed out there. So my consideration is, at what point does Ford look into putting Ranger somewhere else or Bronco somewhere else? I think it'd be interesting.
It's got to be capacity because there is going to be so much commonality between the two platforms.
Well, the T6,
if I'm not mistaken, everything underneath the skin is the same, and probably is going to share a lot of internal components too.
Yeah, the T6 platform. So the T6 platform is pretty popular. It's been around for a while. Volkswagen's using it for some of their stuff now, and so it's easy. But I'm just look at capacity. So if Bronco sales keep where they are, and the Ranger does what I personally think it's going to do, they're out of capacity.
Well,
and so now you start deciding which one you build the most of.
But so what's a little bit different compared to just cars rolling off the assembly line, Ford knows how many Ford Broncos they're sold. They're basically sold. They're committed orders to a certain point that there is a demand for them. There's no, it's like to take whatever car, and they're forecasting how many they're going to sell, and you could go up, you could go down. They know today, and it's going to be the same way with the new Ranger, exactly how many units are pretty much committed to right from the get-go, right when they're sitting there, twizzling all the numbers together to come up with VIN numbers for that month. I mean, so it's almost a guarantee. I mean, they're gonna know, and they'll throttle production to make sure that they can get as many out as they can of both based on that demand.
Yeah. So I was looking at in the comments here, Bronco Dude and Jamie and Ryan Hemmings talking about the oats. Remember, we're getting into the next trims to come along, and I have a theory behind it. I've actually been doing a lot of thought behind it, but what about the oats? Like, I've been trying to figure out what the heck the acronym, code name, like. So here's what I think. I think an EV Bronco is a mistake. I think a hybrid is a much more appealing option. I think, though, that if it's a hybrid, it's going to be a 4-door because you have the extra length now, right, with the electric motor in addition to engine transmission. So personally, I think the hybrid would be a 4-door. But if you look at the oats and how it was recorded, it was a 2-door. Do you remember? I think I did a video on it when they they were mentioning I think it was the Wild Track, the Raptor, and the Oats. Now, we haven't seen the Oats, but they registered that with the National Highway Transportation Safety Board.
And was that for 23 or 24?
It was 23.
Model year 23.
So this was the end of 22 that it was done, but it was for model year 23. So my thing is that if you're going to do something like that, it's a serious, now, is it what some people call it a gimmick trim, I guess, sort of like it's a regular Bronco and they just added something, bolted something on. I don't know. I think you look at a Heritage Limited, that is a very unique Bronco for sure.
Is it really?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a Badlands with a paint scheme that you can't get anything else. The wheels are different, right? Yeah, the wheels are different.
Oh, there's the white ones.
Yeah, I think they're white, but I know that the paint you get it in the Yellowstone or the Robin Egg Blue. You get the white grill.
But I'm already seeing those in regular production in the Bronco Sports. I mean, those colors aren't as unique as.
Well, you're not seeing them in the full size.
They're sitting down the street at my dealer.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, but I guess what I'm saying is that the Heritage Limited is going to be one of those things. If you're a vehicle collector, I do think that that's going to be some, in the future. Now, the basic Heritage, especially the red and white one, that's a great looking vehicle, but it's a Big Ben with some different paint scheme.
That's a little too red for me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I get it. That race red though, and that white. My dad had an old truck that was red and white. And like always, maybe somewhere in the back of my head, I remember that. So I like it. Yeah. But yeah, I get it. It's not for everyone. But I'm thinking the oats, right? What would the oats be? The oats would have to be, someone mentioned Shelby earlier. Could it be I don't know. You think Bronco, you think off-road. You don't necessarily think about a performance on-street vehicle. But this executive with Ford was talking about Bronco trims, sort of a lack of a better word. I don't think he said plethora, but a lot of different Bronco trims coming. Now, I wouldn't freak out. I did a video, and I wouldn't freak out about the amount, well, they can't build I get all that. I did a video and uploaded it saying Ford needs to go from 9 trims to 5. I uploaded it and I couldn't post it. I watched it 2 days later. And I just let it sit there. And that's been like 3 months. And here's my reason for that. So Ford might have maybe they have too many models overall, but they don't have too many Bronco trims. So what I'm looking at is they're trying to create sub brands. You have the F Series sub brand, you have the Mustang sub brand, right? So you have the Shelby Mustang. Well, last year you had Shelby. Now you have Dark Horse, by the way, kind of cool. First forward facing horse ever on a Mustang. You have the Bronco, and that includes Bronco Sport and all of the trims for the 2-door, 4-door Bronco. And so what Ford's trying to do is create these sub brands, then have the E or the Transit, the vans, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then on the other side of the company, which I think was smart for accounting reasons, so they can show where their losses are, is Ford Model E, which is the electric, the EV section. So when you look at building sub brands, if you want a Bronco sub brand, you want a Mustang sub brand, you don't want 2 or 3 trims. You need an abundance of trims, but maybe it's not more than 5 or 9 at a time. Maybe you're rotating. So the Heritage Limited, obviously Limited says it, they're only going to build so many. Well, that goes away, but then something takes its place. And the Heritage goes away and something takes its place. The Everglades is a year or two. It goes away. Something takes its place. So they're always adding the new trims, but no more than a certain amount at any one time. And I think that's probably where they're going with it.
And I think that's a fair assessment. One of the, I think, going back to what you were saying, are you basically referring to like the different packages, like the Lux and the High? Because I do agree that there's not much delineation between a base and a Big Ben and a Big Ben and this and that, and I think they could squeeze those down,
right?
But then offer different feature groups like a limited edition or a high edition or a fully decked out Willie version, not Willies, but stuff like that, and maybe rotate those around with having a special edition every year. Something that Jeep does, which I think is really cool, is the very unique colors that they do every year, and maybe a couple of those where they're only available a certain time of the year. But I don't know, with the Bronco being almost a 100% order based vehicle at this point. I mean, they're not rolling general ones off the line, other than because they were doing them before for dealers to have their mannequin models and stuff like that. But now everything's pretty much custom order from, I'd say, a very large percentage of them.
Yeah, and I know this is counterproductive when you look at the higher the trim, the more the profit margin is typically for a manufacturer. But wouldn't it be cool if they built legitimately a stripped down version of a Bronco? Like I mean, crank windows, right? I mean, now that gets into retooling, right? That's different components, and that may not work financially. It's cheaper to stay with what they have, right? But when I say base, I wish that the same transfer case that was in, say, the Badlands was in the base, right? So you keep everything the same, but you could have a 2.7 base with the exact same transfer case diffs that we have in the Badlands, and that is your base. And I mean basic inside. And then you do your own, there's a basic radio system, right? But you do your own there. Maybe you upgrade the interior, whatever. So you're able to build it. So I'm saying less than what the base is now, because the base now, I'd be happy driving a base. If you gave me a base Sasquatch package, which I don't think you can do right now, but when they had it, I'd do that in a minute. But then you get into, well, if you're really going to wheel it hard, you think about the transfer case.
Yeah, I think base guy. He's got to want to do his own suspension. Sure. So I wouldn't take the base any more than just a base, and keep the cost down. So the consumer can do those upgrades, and they can take them to over to TC Customs, and Mitchell can hook them up with
Yeah.
an awesome suspension package and everything.
Yeah, give them the total package. What
That's
about
right.
a Ford Pilot edition? Right, the very first Jeep. I had to look it up. I'll say the first Jeep, how the 1940 Ford Pilot evolved into today's Jeep. So you go back to the very beginning. Ford built the very first version of what is known now as the Jeep, right? Which is kind of a rub for Jeep guys. Yeah, if it wasn't for Ford, but anyway. But I think that is there something legal there that they can't do? But wouldn't it be cool to have a Ford Bronco Pilot, right? And that would be something that has a very different grill, which would be you couldn't do the original grill because it would look too much like a Jeep. But you could do something, right, to go back to the heritage. The idea of the Bronco bolts, the bolts with the Bronco written on them, that's kind of a throwback to the bolts with Ford written on them, right? That first, so that's sort of where that came from.
So there's definitely a lot of styling cues in the Gen 6 Bronco that came from the Gen 1.
Yeah.
And I still think there's different. Well, we haven't seen an Eddie Bauer version yet, and I'm sure there's going to be one. There has to be one. It's not a Ford Bronco. It's not a Ford vehicle without an Eddie Bauer version.
Do they still have their licensing agreement with them? I haven't seen anything in years from them.
I swear I just stumbled across an Eddie Bauer version of something that was brand new. I may not have been a Ford vehicle, but there was something out there that.
Hey, here's a tidbit. Do you know that Ford was coming up on losing the Bronco name, the trademark name Bronco, and you can't just extend it. You have to have a actual Bronco or an actual vehicle or whatever.
Yeah.
Do you know what they did? They came up with a special edition Expedition. And it was one of them called the Ford Bronco Edition. It was an Expedition Bronco Edition. And that's what kept the Bronco name alive.
Was it that concept one that was out of? No. I think it might have been in a movie or something.
No. That was in Rampage. That's a totally different. That's in the time period when the Bronco almost came back, but then suddenly the idea went away when no one knew why. No, this was a Ford Expedition.
Why do you think Ford used the Maverick label on a truck? I guarantee it was for the exact same reason. They had to use it,
maybe, or
back in the public realm as a product for them to be able to maintain their trademark on it.
Sure, I mean maybe, but I know they took a special edition Expedition and put Bronco Edition on it, and it was at a car show in Florida, and this is from the Bring Back Bronco podcast. So, like I said, if this stuff interests you, you should download that podcast and listen to it because it
sounds like something good you could listen to on your way to Bronco Super Celebration.
Well, let me tell you what happened to it
this year.
In 2021. Someone told me about the podcast when we were there. So on the way back, I'm listening to it. So last year, I said, "Hey, let me listen to it again." So guess what I did this year? I listened to it for the third year in a row. So that's our thing now. Yeah. When I leave Super Celebration East, I know it's kind of I need a hobby. I know, but
you have one.
But what happened? Yeah, I do. I like my hobby. Yeah. But what happens is the more you listen to it, the more you learn, right? The more you remember, you retain, right? But that was pretty cool to know. So you're right. Maybe the Maverick, was it genius marketing, or was it, hey, we're getting ready to lose this name, let's slap it on this next vehicle?
Well, Dave mentioned more than one time that it typically takes roughly $1 billion to develop a brand like that for an automobile, and that's if when they shelve it like that, and then their trademark expires, they've lost all that investment.
So let's go back to I want to go through some of the comments. I am reading the comments, by the way, but Tim and I are just carrying on with this. Ryan Hemming said, "Oats meaning what? Hybrid or electric?" I don't know. Someone originally thought it was like a Shelby Hall edition, or not Shelby Hall edition, but a Rod Hall edition, right? Hall and Oates. I don't know. If that makes any sense, that would be cool though, because he definitely earned it. But let's see. Ryan Hemming said, "I paid for the Everglades tailgate." I'm assuming in the price of the Everglades.
I believe that was an add-on. That was an add-on option in the Everglades.
Was it really? I thought it came with it.
I don't think it was a standard. It was an add-on.
So it was a factory option for it. I just thought it came with
right,
it.
But Everglades was the only model that you could buy it on.
Got it.
Up until recently, somebody had commented on my tailgate video that they were able to order it with their model. It wasn't the Everglades, and but I don't know which one of the other 8 models it was.
Yeah, right, exactly. Broncos 78 Adventures said you can't talk about the Bronco without thoughts of the early Bronco half cab. I agree with that. Big O said, I hope they build the half cab. Wouldn't that be cool though? I mean, I don't know about production on that and how it would really change, but I think they could do it. I just really think.
You had mentioned something earlier when you were talking about kind of like a truck. Well, we were talking about the truck version of the Bronco. Something that Jeep did that kind of bummed me out was that they took a Wrangler, a 4-door Wrangler, and basically slapped a tailgate on the end of it and called it a Gladiator. But that does not have Gladiator has its roots with an actual pickup truck that didn't look like a Jeep. And if Ford were to do that with the Bronco, I would like to see not a 4-door Bronco with an extended bed on the back. I would rather see a more of a true pickup truck that not necessarily the Ranger, but shares characteristics with the Bronco.
Right. Well, yeah, I got you. I mean, so if you take a 2-seater Bronco, put a bed on the back, you have the Gladiator, right? A Gladiator's that's 4-seater, right?
Yeah, it's a 4-seater. Yeah,
it's a 4-seater. What about a straight up 2-door? Now you limit the market, but that's kind of the idea. Is it's a limited production anyway.
If it was a 2-door Bronco with a bed, basically taking the back seat and the bed, maybe extending it just a little bit, I think that would be pretty cool, and that would give that kind of that ode to the half cab.
Yeah, and could you imagine the aftermarket going crazy with sort of that overlanding thing there? You'd have the camping area in the bed.
Oh, definitely. But one of the probably the biggest criticisms I hear of the Gladiator is that it's almost too long to take on trails.
Right. Exactly.
Because of the extent the bed in itself really isn't that big. I think it's only a 6-foot bed.
Right.
Or 5-foot bed. It isn't huge, but it adds enough length to that vehicle that getting around some turns makes it a little bit hard. Now, if Jeep had the trail turn assist in their Gladiator, maybe they could alleviate some of that problem.
Well, they didn't, because they were content with building the same old until the Bronco came along. That's why the 35s are standard on our Sasquatch and not on the Jeep until now. You can get them as an option. And I'm just joking with the Jeep stuff. The one thing I can say about Jeep, it's kept that segment of the industry alive for years.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Right. Because I mean, they've been the vehicle doing it, and other companies have tried, right? The FJ Cruiser, the 4Runner is sort of that, it's an off-road vehicle, but yet drive it to the office, take the family to vacation. It's that, but it's not Bronco off-road.
No. And so my biggest criticism, I had a FJ Cruiser, had it for 8 years, almost 300,000 miles on it. My oldest son grew up in the back end of it as we ventured all over the place doing stuff. When it came time to trade it in, I got a 4Runner, and I tell you what, I was out of that thing in a year, because it wasn't the same. It didn't drive the same. It didn't act the same. It was almost too nice. It wasn't the utility vehicle that I had with the FJ. And that's what I like about the Bronco. You get a nice few creature comforts, but it's still a utility vehicle.
Right. Jeep Gladiator bed is 60 inches long, by the way.
So 5 feet.
Yep. So, but yeah, I just think that a 2-seater Bronco with a bed on the back is it, and I think you would make it Sasquatch only, 2.7
yeah.
only. I mean, just go there.
Yeah.
By the way, I do have word that there's a new version of the 2.7 coming out for 24. We'll see if that actually happens. What's new about it? I have no idea, but I just know. I know for a fact that one's being tested. We'll see what the changes are. I have no idea what the changes are, other than I like the 2.7 now. So, they crank more power out of them. Who knows? Maybe. All right, going way back in the comments at 10:07 p.m. here, which was a while ago. Robbie said hybrid, yes. So I think that's when I was mentioning that the hybrid Bronco. Ryan Hemming agreed. Jamie said it will be a retro 80s Hall and Oates edition. Wouldn't that be cool? As
Where
far
the
as
dashboard is a keyboard.
yeah, there you go,
Oh.
right there. Ford designers, if you're listening, there's your idea.
That's right.
Yeah, you know how to get a hold of Tim.
That's right.
Let's see.
Just put a little at overlanding for fun there on the key.
Yeah, the one key. Mike Mack said, not as unique as an antimatter blue. Can you imagine antimatter blue two-door? Any trim?
I think that is in reference. We were talking about Bronco 78 Adventures specific color code on his 78, and I think that comment was in reference to that. Which
probably was, because either one of them is going to be rare. I mean, rare. Let's see, oats. Yeah, I agree. I've worked with that one. I also went in the grocery store and looked at a Quaker Oats thing there, and I was like, I'm looking at it. Talk to me. Tell me, communicate. Please tell me what the heck. I mean, it's driven me nuts.
If you build it, they will come.
Driven.
Did you
me
hear anything like that?
No, I didn't hear that. No, there's no. We're not building a Bronco in a cornfield or anything. But that was a good movie, by the way. Oh, let's see. Bronco 78 Adventures. Look at their competitors and see what they offer. Ford be going after every market in that spectrum. That's a very good point, Bronco 78. I think when you look at it, both in the colors and the style. So take the Gladiator. Sure, is that on the radar? It should be. If it's not, the colors, they do need a bright color. They need a lime green, a grabber orange. Grabber. So Code Orange is a Ford Performance color. That's on the the Mustang. That's on the Raptor. I get that color staying where it is, but pick one of the grabber colors, orange or blue, right? Or yellow, like an actual yellow.
Get a high vis. Get that high vis yellow.
Yeah, look at this here. I didn't read that one. Big O said they should make a Miller High Life gold and white, like the Baja version that Mickey Thompson had. Well, there you go. Sort of, have that tribute back to the Mickey Thompson, more of the what was the racing series where Rod Hall raced in?
Baja 1000.
The Baja 1000, but Strope. What was his name? Bill? Was it Bill Strope? He had the orange and white. I think that's what we're talking about, the Strope, Bill Strope, or I think his name was Bill Strope Broncos. When we were at Carlisle a few years ago, they brought a lot of those Broncos that are still in existence that people had bought and restored. They even had the car hauler for it. And they had just an awesome display there. And you couldn't help to think that these Broncos once upon a time were racing somewhere, and they've ended up restored back in the same stable again. It was pretty cool. But something like that would be cool. Now you get into marketing, licensing, and things, so just like with Shelby. Bronco Dude said hybrid would be incredible, especially if anything like the Maverick technology. Yeah. In a Lauren Healy edition. Well, we could definitely go for that. And, don't forget about the EV stuff, that I just do not see a legitimate off-road vehicle being an EV. I can't, like you check a box.
Yep.
If you have it, but
So the Hummer, it's a legitimate off-road refrigerator on its side with batteries. You know, I, I don't know. Anytime you combine electricity with the water, you're bound to have issues.
I just look at what if, right? The time on these trails, the torque, the battery life, how do they gauge that, right? You know, there's an average if you drive 55 on the asphalt and you're cruising down the road that they can start to gauge this range. But when you're crawling 3,000 feet above sea level right now, how much crawling are you doing out of that 3,000? 3,000 is above sea level. Maybe you crawled 1,000 feet. Well, I mean, what kind of a draw are you going to have there? And so my thing is a hybrid works because, okay, battery life gets weak. You have the gas engine option, right? Perfect.
Yeah.
EV goes out. What do? Matt's off-road recovery.
Yeah. Although I don't think Jeep had very good luck with their, that was a hybrid, right? The Jeep was
yeah, I think it was a hybrid. Yeah. It is a hybrid.
It didn't, as far as I know, it didn't. I mean, it addressed a certain segment of the population that would want an EV, that would have interest in being able to take it. I mean, I look at, like, I didn't buy my Bronco to wheel, to
right,
to rock crawl. I bought it to make sure that I can get to places that I want to go and get out and not worry about, getting hung up and things like that. That's why I bought it. So I'm sure there are people like me that want a hybrid engine or an EV engine in their vehicle. So I see that there's a segment. I just don't know how big that segment is for this type of vehicle. But you also, one of the things that you have to worry about fuel consumption and gas mileage in an ICE vehicle. You have to worry about that battery life, and that power consumption. And some of these activities do not lend itself to good efficient use of the battery. And so you could find yourself in a place where you don't have the battery charge or the ability to charge. Because I don't think a solar panel, maybe if you had a month to charge via a solar panel, worst case for the gas, an ICE engine, you run out of gas, you can bring gas.
You can store it on the back, but the gas cans on board.
Yeah. Or you have to have a recovery vehicle that can come out with a generator to generate the power that you need to charge the battery back up.
Yeah, but you know how long that would take? I mean, did you see TFL's video with they were charging their Hummer with 120 volt power supply and how long it took?
I saw bits and pieces. I seem to remember it took a while to do that.
So the lower the voltage, the longer it takes to charge it. And then, of course, you have the 230 volt, and then you have the supercharger on top of that. So, like, the most expensive option would charge it faster, but, we're talking out in the wild. So I don't know. I'm just, you have to have it to check the government box. Okay. They want it there. You've tried. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
So I think the hybrid makes sense. I think EV does not make sense based on technology today. That's just my humble opinion. But what do I know? I'm just a guy on YouTube.
As a technology guy myself, I could see myself getting a Tesla or something like that. But I would be concerned about making long trips in it. And we've seen some videos, Coderman, when he got his Lightning, I think he took a trip, went to go buy something, hauled a trailer, and he was having to charge back up more frequently than I think he was wanting to.
Right.
And that all changes. Mileage will vary obviously in either type of power plant, with how much you're hauling, but definitely, yeah, off-roading. I don't know. But
Who knows?
I will say this. Heavy D Sparks, Dave Sparks.
Hmm?
They do a lot of videos and stuff. He went out with some I can't think of the name of the brand, but it was an EV side by side. And they were rolling those things out in the dunes all day long, having fun.
Having a good time with it.
Having a good time with it. And it was all electric. Who's the big side by side manufacturer?
Oh geez, you're drawing a blank because we're supposed to be getting Gavin one. If Gavin was here, he'd tell you it's yeah. Keep talking. I know what you're talking about.
It was
Somebody
the big one.
to come.
It was the big one.
Ryan Hemming said Everglades was originally announced as a 2-year production, so you may be right. Now that's when we were going about rotating the trims. Remember, introducing new trims.
Yeah.
More of a luxury Bronco. What do you think? Right now, the Outer Banks is it. What do you think about one that legitimately has a lot? I mean, just it'll hardly, if it ever leaves the road, it's because someone ran through a field trying to avoid an accident or something, like a legitimate street vehicle Bronco for those that never intend on going off-roading. I know why the Bronco's built. I get it. But you also know that a lot of people don't actually go off-roading with their off-road vehicle.
Oh, no. They crawl the mall.
Yeah,
Or they jump or they jump snow piles in the mall parking lot.
And get stuck on them and then have to, people do TikTok videos on them. Those sports that's an old one there. Big O said something here that I kind of agree with mostly, but not always. Let's see. I do not like Mopar colors, too pastel for me. So generally speaking, you're absolutely right. I do know though that the Jeep dealership down the road from us here, but it's like a Skittles bag when they get their trucks delivering Jeep, sorry. Red, green, orange, whatever. Those sell out quicker and they're stuck with white, black, and gray. And so white, black, and gray, just from me driving by, seems to sit a lot longer. They have a longer, supply date. The bright colors go quick. So
one thing, think of the white and the black, not so much the gray, but probably is a good candidate too. Vehicle wrapping nowadays, changing the color, doing things different. I mean, it doesn't, with a white or a black vehicle, you can wrap it any way you want, personalize it, and when you're done with it, peel it off, and somebody else has a new canvas, or you have a new canvas to start with.
Right. Hey, Jamie, and I'm trying to catch up on the comments here. Jamie said King Ranch kind of took that over. Yeah, so I think that was in reference to the Eddie Bauer thing, right? So King Ranch kind of filled that void there. What about a King Ranch Bronco?
I want a Rattler edition Bronco.
Polaris. Well, you're thinking about Polaris.
I think it was Polaris that did that.
Yeah. Big O said Polaris and Maverick. Let's see. Kyle. Hey, Kyle, what's going on? And by the way, if you haven't hit that thumbs up for me, please hit that. That'll help YouTube kind of spread the word around a little bit. And if you're watching live or later and you haven't subscribed to our channel, if you would, we'd be honored if you'd hit that subscribe button and hit the bell notification for all. Make my day, right? Kyle said there are a ton of dark gray Jeeps around here. Yeah, and I know here, like I said, they'll sit for a while. I mean, they sell them obviously, but the bright colors go quick. That on the Jeeps, that's what I've noticed. Let's see, Jeep 4xe. That's what you were talking about earlier, by the way.
Yeah, 4xe. Yeah.
The EV part is more for getting you to the trail and around town, not for the off-roading. So that's a good point. Too many people thought they'd be able to use the EV for off-road. So, I mean, I could see that part, right? That's a good point. Get you there, save the gas, and then enjoy it.
And so, Volkswagen has announced that they're going to be producing the EV Scout. Mm-hmm. Is it going to be a competitor with the Bronco, with the the Jeep, the 4Runner in that size of vehicle, or is it going to be something smaller like the Bronco Sport?
Well,
I'm interested to see, because that's supposed to be a total electric vehicle.
you mean the Scout?
Yeah, the new
So,
Scout.
okay, so the Scout is supposedly built on the T6 platform. So that's where Ford is, that technology is going over to Volkswagen. So essentially it's going to be on the Bronco platform.
Just called a
So
Scout.
so it's going to,
I'm going to have so much fun with Scout owners.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, look
yeah.
it up. The T6 platform is the platform for the Scout. Yep. Which, by the way, think about that. Think about that platform if they can design an EV using that. And make sure I'm not telling everybody wrong, not unless I had a dream or a nightmare one night. What platform is the new Volkswagen Scout built on? Sorry, I'm doing it live, but it's a little bit quicker me typing it. Let's see. It's a body on frame, which makes sense because the full frame for the T6. And I'd probably have to do but I know for a fact. Well, I say I know for a fact. I know for a fact, I think.
Yeah. If it's going to be body on frame, then, I mean, you can almost guarantee that it's going to be something bigger.
Well, they work with Ford on that back and forth quite a bit.
Yeah.
So I think when you dig deeper on that, you're going to see it's the T6, which is the Bronco platform.
So another FJ Cruiser back out there.
Well, hey, I mean, Ford could sell on that platform as well. I'm sure they can make it a little bit bigger. Yeah. And when you look at it, there's an article that just came up here. I'm not going to, read too much here. I was just scanning by, but if someone's watching this right now, well, there's plenty of people watching, but if you want to search and see if I'm right. The T6 platform is used for the Scout. Is the T6 platform used for the Volkswagen Scout? All right. I won't do that anymore. I know it's kind of rude.
I'm sorry. You can't use Siri and live stream at the same time.
Oh, I'm
Please
sorry.
try your search again later.
Yeah, but well, I'm sure I didn't get that message. Ford Ranger T6, there again. Mm-hmm. If you read it, I know I read that somewhere before. So, having said that, the Scout would be sort of based on or look similar to the Bronco size. That would tell you that would answer the question: can they do an EV with the Bronco now?
Yep. And that's what I was just going to say, is that if they're sharing technology, does that lend itself back to an EV Bronco? Although, well, yeah.
Uh-oh. Well, I saw smoke there. What was that? What was that thought?
No.
I say it. Yeah. No worries. Tim wants an Amarillo Bronco. The Scout will be a Bronco size or bigger. Bronco 78 said that. Yeah. So I think it's going to be the same. Ford will use that help design their Bronco EV. Yeah, I agree. Bronco 78, you're on it tonight. Yeah. But yeah, between the Scout and the Rivian, they will have plenty to steal from. So do you think Rivian's going to last? I mean, are they long-term, or do they get absorbed by another manufacturer?
Well, Ford had a big stake in them. And I think the difference, it's software, right? Software design vehicles is really what it is, especially with everything around the electrical battery management and such. So I see that it's not uncommon. Companies come in, they disrupt the market, as small companies, and then a larger one comes and buys them up, absorbs that technology into theirs. I see that all the time in my industry, and I don't know why they wouldn't do it in the automotive industry.
Right, because especially if they're making these advancements and they have a good thing going, that's the way it works. Is the quickest way you grow is you take someone else's great idea and you bring it under the fold, and you then invest your capital into it and speed it up. So if they've got a good thing going right now, the technology's there, that type thing, then who knows? I think, I said earlier that any company that splits their EV version out of their ICE version company is very smart. It's good for accounting. And so if you lose money in one, say you're losing $750 million in the EV market, but you're making money on the ICE thing, it really shows, right? There's these pains, there's the reality of where we're at technology wise. And then there's, hey, look at what's keeping us going. Let's, see what's satisfying the market. I think splitting a company up like that's very smart.
Yeah. And I also think it's smart because it allows Ford to play both sides of the fence with the federal government and the EPA.
Sure. Yeah. I mean,
they can be all one company when they need to be, and they can be two separate companies when they need it to be.
And, these conversations, they talk about inflation, interest rates raised again today. What's that got to do with this? Well, if you're looking to buy a Bronco, maybe you don't buy it now, or a truck, $70,000, $80,000 truck. Or what if you were buying a Raptor, but now the interest rates, you were already uncomfortable with the payment, and now the interest rate's going up another quarter percentage point, puts you you're already too much. And now you're like, all right, well, I'm not doing a Raptor. I'll do a Wild Track, or a Haas 3.0, or I'll do a Badlands, which is not a bad trim at all. It's what I have. I love it. But, or maybe you go with a Outer Banks, or maybe you don't buy Bronco at all. Maybe you keep your old vehicle. I think there's a lot when you dive deep into this stuff. You see the wholesale market, used vehicles. You see the new inventory and days supply. Now, days supply, are manufacturers going to idle plants for weeks at a time to help keep the days supply under control, which ultimately keeps prices stable? Or, what's that going to look like? Not the Bronco or the Ranger or the Maverick. Those are fast as they can build them. They're ordered, or they'll sell when they hit the lot.
Yeah.
We're talking
they still have to shut those plants down for maintenance, time off, those kind of things. And I'm sure, I don't know the automotive industry. My dad worked in the consumer electronics industry. And I mean, at RCA, they would shut down basically a month out of the year, 2 in the summer, 2 in the winter time, Christmas time, the holidays. And then that's when other groups would come in and do all the maintenance and stuff on the assembly lines and stuff.
Retooling and stuff.
Retool. Yeah. So I'd have to assume that the automotive industry is the same way.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is that I don't know where they're at right now with, I know days of supply have gone up. I hear people, there's other channels that talk about how many days of supply F-150s there are. Well, the dealers got them on the lot and they can't sell them. Well, I don't agree with can't sell them. I also know, just like real estate, it's all local. So you might be in one market, and in that particular market, things aren't selling as fast. But I know in Hampton Roads, when dealers get these trucks, typically, especially if they're MSRP, they're gone. Now, if there's a big ADM on top of it, then maybe you're right. Maybe they're sitting. But the dealer that I deal with, they're for the most part, I can't speak about everything and every trim and every whatever, but MSRP. So they sell quick.
My dealer down here, probably, I don't know the exact numbers. GM told me one time, but probably high 80s of F-150s is their F-150 is their bread and butter out of that store, because we're a rural agricultural community,
right?
And so to see a car there on the lot, an actual sedan or something, is very rare.
Yeah.
Mustang, you'll see a Mustang or something like that, but it's not, and you're not going to see a line of, whatever the Ford Escapes or whatever it used to be.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, yeah.
Bronco Sport took it over.
Yeah. The Escape there. So, we're looking at vans, right? Work vans, somewhere like that. Your vans, your trucks, mainly your trucks.
Yeah.
Somewhere where we are, there's a good balance, right, between small SUVs, crossovers, vans, trucks, Broncos. Seeing a ton of Broncos on the road now. You know, it's funny. I remember when I got mine, you'd see another Bronco, you would almost go out of your way to wave, you know, and try to like
Yeah.
change lanes and
Honk,
try to,
flash the
yeah,
lights.
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now it's, you know, it's not like every other vehicle. It's still so cool. I saw one today coming the other way, and I just love the ring and bar LED headlights. Like, God,
Yeah.
like, is that what mine looks like coming down the road? I think it's the coolest thing in the world. So it's still new enough to really get me excited. But you know, I just know that we have a good balanced market here, and we have stuff that rotates. We have a lot of military here. You know this area well. Yeah, I think
Oh yeah.
you
Stationed
live
down
there. So we have that in real estate. We turn houses over every 3 to 4 years. Not every house, obviously, but a lot of houses. And yeah, it's some pretty interesting stuff. So I think if they could green light energy again, that would get rid of maybe a third of our inflation. That would then lower the cost of goods, and that would help people. But interest rates, everything else going up, how's that going to affect the Bronco market, the trucks? I don't really know. I know you can get a Bronco for vehicles, for fun vehicles. You can get a Bronco in comparison to other vehicles very affordable. I mean, look at an F-150 loaded. Where are you, 70s? 80, 80s,
Oh
70s?
yeah. So, God, it was when like one night Dave and I were talking about. I think it was a Cadillac. It was the latest 23 high end Cadillac, whatever, and it was like $150,000 or $160,000.
Crazy.
I was just like, who? Well, who can afford it, right?
Right.
Who? I mean, you cut the number of people down dramatically.
Yes.
You know, entry level Broncos, mid 40s. When we bought our Badlands 21s, they were coming in at about 58,000 fully loaded.
Yep.
Expensive, but still somebody could swing it. You know, more people could swing it. They start throwing the ADM in. You know, you get into the taking advantage of people's
right
inability to
walk away,
govern themselves, and you know, and okay, market's going to pay what the market's going to pay, right? But to a certain degree, I mean, keeping that balance between making an expensive vehicle and keeping it affordable. Things like interest rates don't help out. But I honestly think that we're going to start seeing it's coming into play. You're going to just pay to rent the vehicle.
Subscription.
It literally, it's going to be it's going to be a hybrid somewhere between subscription and a lease.
Yeah.
And
well, they figure if they make you suffer enough, you're more willing to do something like that, right?
I think
so
so.
if you look at the cost of everything going up, right, and then interest rates going up and the vehicle costs going up, at some point you have to pay your basic bills. You have your basic needs in life before you do that fun thing, and that's a shame. I think we could cut inflation dramatically if we just simply went back to being energy independent and become a net exporter, not importer of it. Yeah. I just, you know, what do I know though? Real estate goes up when there's inflation. Real estate naturally goes up. I was talking to someone today. I said, you know, we have the symptom, right? Interest rates or inflation hits, cost of housing goes up. That's a symptom, but it's not the cause. The cause goes way back to 2008. And this is something that I can speak on with experience. A lot of builders went out of business, and then small independent builders builds 5 to 50 houses a year. Now 50 is pretty strong, maybe 5 to 20. When banks sort of said, well, we can't loan out as much as we used to, so we're going to loan the money to RVs, kids' college and vacations and high interest stuff. We're not going to give it to the builder for $300,000 for a 6-month turnaround. Not too much risk, not enough payback. And so there's a lot of we're what we're called doors short of demand, right? We don't have enough houses. Now that's also real estate's regional, it's local. So, you know, Detroit, different market than say Florida or whatever. I mean, pick your two places. I just think that, you know, you have the cost of inflation, you have the price of lack of inventory, then that plays into groceries, that plays into energy, and then ultimately it plays into vehicles. So why are we talking about that now? I don't know. I just look at getting back more to the subject matter. What about more trims, but every once in a while there is a basic, you know, we talked about the original Jeep idea, right? What did I say? The Pilot.
Yeah.
What about something like a base? It's not a very profitable vehicle because it's a basic vehicle. But what about something like that? And so then you're able to keep the Bronco thing affordable. I really think there's going to have to be more of the affordable Broncos in comparison to the higher trims as well.
I don't disagree. I think is the consumer going to be disciplined enough to do that, because we have that instant gratification
Right.
society. You know, case in point, everybody that went out and bought everything under the off the shelves to upgrade their Bronco before they even got possession of their Bronco. You know, and not actually test driving or you know, utilizing something that they already paid for in their initial build. I'm not picking on anybody in particular, but you know, they bought a Sasquatch. It's got the better tires on it and everything, and they turn around and put 200 miles on those and replace them with a set of KO2s or something.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
I'm going to use mine till the rubber is, you know, until the tread's not valid. But I also do 5 tire rotation, 5, you know, on a regular basis too. So
well, and you're doing it right because you're doing the 5 tire and you started early, so you didn't allow the other 4 to wear down to the point now you have the odd size out. See,
yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to admit
doing
to
about
you,
every 5,000 miles.
well, I'm going to admit to you, sorry, Becky's Bronco, I can only do a 4 tire rotation on because of the tread. I let it go too long, you know.
You can you can rotate that tire in. It's no different. It's honestly no different than you having to have a tire replaced because it blew out a sidewall.
But I always do 2 tires in that case, so either the front or the rear.
Man, it's not going to hurt you.
Man, come on.
Come on.
Come on, man.
No.
You
Don't
know,
make
the way
Pop come over.
yeah. We don't want all that. What I didn't want to do is end up in a situation where her tires are wearing pretty evenly. I don't have any cupping. I don't have anything weird going on there. But here's what I thought we would do: do a 4 tire rotation on hers, and do a 5 tire on mine.
And 5 on both.
And well, I want to do a which better, right? Like between the 2 Broncos, well, who gets the most use out of their vehicle?
If you don't change that spare in the back, and you never use it, you've lost the value of that tire.
You've lost the value of the tire. You don't think you can sell it used?
At a certain point, I mean, it has a shelf life, right?
Right.
And
it does.
Sitting on the back there by itself, I mean, it is breaking down over time, anyways.
Sure.
Whether it has load on it or not, you know, of being on the vehicle. Maybe you do a 10 tire rotation and interswap them between the vehicles.
What's like, what are we doing with that?
Maybe you could put her spare on yours because you hardly have anywhere on your tires,
right?
And then rotate one of your tires and
we could do something like that.
But actually, no, do all 10 tires.
That'd be a good video, right? Yeah. What we could do is just put them all in a pile, and just go pick 4 or 5, and
you have the same rims on both, right? Same
so
wheel. Nobody know.
Yeah, somebody don't know. They'll know.
No.
The meme, nobody will know. They'll know.
That's right.
Becky will
So,
know.
no,
But
she'll
I
never
thought
know.
what we would do is try it both ways, right? I know the right way is the 5 tire. I know that, but how much worse is the 4 tire rotation, right? And so if you do the two and compare the mileage, because we drive about the same, we're in the same environment, same area.
Right. So but you're losing 20% of the value of your tires
Because
in
of
a
the
race
age.
because you're not using it. You extend your tread life by 20% by rotating that tire in, or whatever the number is.
Yeah,
I still got
well,
my shoes on. I can't do the math.
yeah. I've got a calculator over here. Hey, Second Nature Overland, Volvo is doing subscriptions. Not sure how successful that has been. I don't know, but I'll look into that. That's good. I'd like to see what they're doing on. I know you see the memes where someone's subscription for their blinkers ran out or something. Yeah, I mean it's always taken
Yeah.
into the exception, but it's funny.
But yeah, so there was BMW is looking at doing subscription for features like seat
Yep.
heaters and stuff like that. And there was an
Mm.
article about 6-8 months ago. It was a marketing group in one of the major manufacturers. I don't remember which one, that basically commissioned a study, and they determined that the average consumer has about $140, $150 a month they can spend on subscription stuff in their vehicle, and that was the way they were going to go.
I don't know. I guess I'm still old school enough. Let's see. Big O said, all you have to do is lower gas prices and everything else will follow. I agree. Bronco 78 Adventures. We've got to get the Adventures things going. I'm used to seeing, or we could just say Craig. Whatever. The only ones that want base Bronco are the ones that want to build their own. So yeah, Craig's on it tonight. I tell you, that's a very good point. So a lot of people, have you seen the guy has a YouTube channel called is it base Bronco build or
budget Bronco?
Yeah,
Like
so that's sort of his deal. You start with that Bronco, and then he's done amazing stuff with that Bronco. But you're right; it's the project.
So I think when you go strip down Bronco, there are plenty of things that you can upgrade. Some may matter, some may not to others. The display, when you get into these different packages, the mid package and the high package and the Lux package. Well, I've got the Lux package, and we all know that if you put a winch on the front of the thing, you basically are going to block out the majority of your camera. So they got a relocation kit for that now. There's some issues with adaptive cruise control and possibly having to move the receiver for that, or the element. So there's some of that stuff, and if you go with a budget, maybe it matters, maybe it doesn't matter to the person. But I do think that there were very little, like the Big Ben and the base. Somebody had mentioned, why did they make a Sasquatch package for the base? Maybe it should just be the next model up, because there isn't much difference between the base and the Big Ben.
Right.
But I don't know. All I remember, because I originally ordered, I think it was a Wild Track or a Big Ben, is what I originally put in, trying to understand that matrix that when I put my initial reservation in, when I had to pick,
Right.
And I was staring at that thing, trying to make heads or tails. That was a exercise to make sure that I got everything I wanted, but didn't over order. But as it all turned out, as more and more stuff started coming out, and then so I went from reserving a Wild Track or whatever it was to ordering a Badlands when I placed my order.
Well, look, I'm going to tell you, there's no science in it. The first night I had to decide, and how I decided was it said most capable. I was like, okay, cool. That's me, Badlands. And then for the second one, which I did the Badlands before midnight. So I did it on the 13th after midnight, we did the wild track, which you say wild track, you have 2 Badlands, right? Well, originally Becky's was a race red wild track. But and as time went on and then I studied the trims a little further because you could change your order.
Mhm.
I studied and found out, well, yeah, the Badlands is where I want to be. It wasn't just because it said it's most capable. It's because when I got into the features, it was everything I wanted.
Part of what I really got into is as I started digging more into, you've got this model and you can upgrade this package. Well, that package comes standard in this model. That's how I got myself to a Badlands, was as I started, adding these things in,
Right.
The price started going up, and I'm like, well, if I'm going to do that, I might as well, what's another couple $1,000 I'll get in. And so then I wound up with
at that point, it came as basic edition, right? You're like, well, this is where I'm going to be. And that, sway bar disconnect. Let's do it.
Yeah. But to be honest, when I ordered that, I was still in the mindset of go, 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 go.
Right.
I was driving 100 miles a day round trip for work. My time was more valuable producing than it was changing oil and doing those things. So I didn't really want to get involved in doing my own modifications and stuff. That's what attracted me to the Badlands ultimately, was that I could have all that stuff done, because I'm not looking to wheel the vehicle per se. It's not a dedicated, if I do it,
Right.
I do it. If I want a vehicle that's going to get me where I want to go to enjoy the outdoor adventures, and get me back without getting stuck all the time.
Yeah. Well, and there again, it's the daily driver, but yeah, right. You have bad weather, you have snow. What the heck? I'll take care of it. So I think that the Badlands, and sorry to keep you so long, by the way, we'll wrap it up here in a little bit. The joke was, I said, well, maybe 30 minutes or so earlier. 2 hours.
I have a gift for Gavin, and I enjoy doing these live streams.
Yeah. Well, good.
I should do them more often. I mean, just live stream. Although I don't know if anybody has a
need for a co-host.
Well, hi, I'm Tim, Overlanding for Fun and professional live stream amateur co-host.
Yeah. I'm sending out my resume for that. No, but it's always helped to bounce it off. When we were doing, I think we did 8:30. We used to do 8:00 with Gavin, and we did 8:30. That gave him a good 30 minutes. But around 9:15, he's done. I mean, it's his bedtime at 9:30 anyway. So poor guy.
He much of a summer break. I know a lot of school districts are kind of switching around. And
no. Our kids go to private school. They go to a school that we have say-so in, so we can understand their what they're learning.
Oh, fair enough.
And a say-so in it. And we have I went to a school system, and I swear I'd never, my kids would go to somewhere that we can have more control. So that's where they go. Yeah. Anyway, let's see. Okay. Second Nature Overland's a great discussion. Thanks. Hey, there was something in here, Kevin. Oh, here we go. You see this comment, Kevin GR. And I hope you're still here, by the way. Sorry. So does anyone know what happens when your Bronco gets hit by a red light runner and get written off and you have to replace it? So you have to get refinanced.
If your vehicle gets totaled,
right,
your insurance company is going to write you a check, and you're going to need to satisfy your loan. Depending on what you owe versus the value of it, you could be more than what you owe. It could be less than what you owe. It's generally where gap insurance comes in.
Yeah, especially if you paid an ADM.
Yeah, which is a very real risk that people are taking when they're buying a vehicle for $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 when it's only valued at 60,
right.
By the industry. So that's that. Once that loan's satisfied, you would have to. It's like buying a new vehicle or another vehicle. You'd have to originate a new loan.
Yep, and that's typically that's how it's done because it's a completely different vehicle, right? Different deal.
Yep.
Second Nature Overland. I don't know if I said that earlier. Thank you for saying that. Bronco 78. These Bronco Raptors sitting on used lots in my area are selling in a few days, and they're getting 135. That is just amazing. There's a bunch of. So would you pay 130 for a Bronco Raptor?
Nope.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I'd pay list price for a Bronco Raptor. I find, to me, I don't want to say it's an abomination. I don't want to say it's an abomination, but I don't know. It sure gets billed like it's a race truck. I had somebody today ask me if I wanted to race my Bronco. I'm like, dude, it's in a race truck. Yeah, exactly. Well,
yeah.
He had Kentucky license plates and he was driving a Jeep. Probably thought I had a Raptor. I don't know, but
well, unless he has the 392, he doesn't want to race you anyway. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it was one of the other Jeep. It wasn't a Liberty. I don't know, something silly, but
gotcha.
But I don't know. I think that the Raptor label is good for some brands. I don't think it is for Bronco. I think they're just doing it to sell it to a certain population that, segment of the population that.
So here's the thing. If you're going to beat it up, it's the vehicle to have. You have joust bumpers, right? So you can legitimately jump stuff with it, right? Go airborne. Reinforced frame, more towing, more horsepower. You have the bigger tires from the factory. So there is substantial differences. The question becomes, are you doing all those things? And I think if you're going to drive it like that, it's probably your vehicle. But if it's a street vehicle, it's probably, go to Wild Track Hoss 3.0.
There's applications. There's segments of the Raptor that I like. The bigger engine, more horsepower, not necessarily for the purpose of racing.
Right.
It's not, how many of us are desert running?
Well, not around where I'm at.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're out running out west, it once again, very small number of people that can actually be in a position to do that.
Right.
Functionally, yes, a little bit more reinforced, a little bit more horsepower, a little bit better bumpers, bigger tires, any more cabin space. I think it's the exact same size cabin.
Oh, it's the exact same inside.
And you've got an extra brace over your head, so you've got a disrupted view of the open sky when you have your tops off.
But you have
extra cross brace.
But you have less torsional twist in it.
You do, right? So those people who complain about the roof making noise when they have a off-road vehicle that the doors and the top come off. They don't get as much torsional twist in the upper frame there and upper body, and they won't have that noise.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Hey, Bronco Dude said I wanted a hardtop, roof racks, metal bumpers, 12-inch screen, and tow hitch. Also wanted it built so it comes as the Everglades, a guaranteed bill with all restrictions. Yeah. Well, I was sitting here thinking as I'm reading this, roof racks, metal bumpers, 12-inch screen, tow. The only way you could get that, like if you went Badlands, is if you went with a 2.3, because when you go 2.7, it throws you over the GVR, so you lose the roof racks. Isn't that amazing? Same
exactly,
trim, different.
But the Everglades is a 2.3.
It's a 2.3 mid package.
But to his point, all the things that were the high commodity or the restricted commodity items were standard with that vehicle. So you were getting them without necessarily having, you got everything you wanted by getting that model. And if the 2.3 doesn't bother you, then it doesn't bother you.
Let's see. Bronco 78 Adventure is off topic. Oh, we can't do that around here.
Nope.
I'm the one that does that.
No, we have
I'm
a
the one.
very strict topic policy.
Yeah. Half-inch or 5/8 drywall, Tim? Which one do you think's better? Sorry, I'm just trying to be.
Are you driving nails or?
Yeah.
shooting
No,
guns?
adhesive. So Bronco 78. Seriously, off topic. I think about the aftermarket parts for the early Broncos. They are everywhere for the first gen. Second gen almost has nothing available. No, and I agree. And listen, in the video we did of the walk around of your Bronco, Craig, I mentioned that a few years ago, we would see a lot of those on Marketplace or Craigslist or wherever. We also had something here called the Trading Post way back when. I guess they're still around. I don't know. But you could get really good deals on 78, 79 Broncos. I don't know if it corresponds with the 6th gen or if it's just a coincidence, but that is not the case right now. If you find one under 3K, it is a rolling rusty experiment.
Yeah.
There's no title, there's something wrong with it, right? So I personally think anything unique to Bronco, there was 2 years of it, right? So you limit how many are out there that people are restoring, right? And there's a lot of them, don't get me wrong. However, a lot of the parts are like the F100, F150. So, it just seems like there's a market, right? Seems like there's a market to reproduce the parts that you need for yours. So I need to research that.
So you brought up a good point. I mean, the Gen 1s ran for what, 11 years, 12 years? And then the Gen 2s ran for 2 years, 3 years tops.
Right.
And then you went into the Gen 3s. Just the sheer number of the number of vehicles that are out there that would want the aftermarket parts, but there is so much commonality between the was it the F100 or was it the F150 back then?
F150. I don't know when the 100 when they stopped production on that. I know those
It might have been in the early 70s, late 60s.
Yeah, because I know the only thing I'd ever seen at least 76 through 80 was like,
because
I don't know, they might have had
F100s were the original Ranger, were they not?
I think so, but I also somewhere in the back of my mind, man, why am I thinking that they did build? I guess we could actually look it up. Someone knows. Someone in the chat knows the answer to this question. When was?
But I'm sure before news got out of the Gen 6 Bronco, Broncos in general were dime a dozen.
Oh, listen,
you find them everywhere.
F100 from 1948 to 1983.
Okay.
The F Series has become America's favorite pickup. Yep, nearly 1 million sold per year, which is insane. 1948 to 1983. So you remember in the 80, 81, they went to the real blocky, modern looking letters.
Yeah.
When we were talking about when did they quit, somewhere flashing in my head was a light blue and white F100 pickup truck. That's how my brain works. It pulls these memories from way back. I don't know.
But I remember looking around and getting interest. Like I saw several on was it Bring a Trailer of Scouts that were restored in various conditions, being under $10,000. And now, it happened with Broncos. It's now happened with Scouts since, Volkswagen said they're going to revitalize that brand, that, everybody's out buying everything they can. And I think somebody, Big O, comment in here a few years back, $4,000, and now they're asking $25,000 for the same vehicle a few years later.
Yeah, I mean, like everything's gone up, but then especially the attention. Hey, and I didn't really say this earlier to Kevin. Look, I'm sorry. I guess it was your Bronco that was that was hit. Now, I'm sorry to hear that. That stinks. See a lot of these Broncos. You know, the one thing I've noticed from seeing pictures of Broncos in accidents, they seem to hold up really well.
I think the designers of all these modern cars have done phenomenal jobs in, you know, the technology that goes into the vehicle to keep the passenger compartment as intact as possible, is phenomenal.
Hey Tim, check out that comment from Kevin. That's you all the way.
Absolutely. So there are tire sensors in the vehicle, in the tires, and in each corner of the vehicle there's also sensors that pick up stuff. So what you have to do is there's essentially 4 slots for sensors to go in, and so you have the 5th tire. So what you have to do is you do walk around in order, and there's a tool that you can get that will read that code and transmit it to the vehicle, and so that way it knows the 4 that are on the vehicle, and it takes the 5th tire out of the memory. Simple process. There's a Bronco 78. There's a thing in here. I did a video on it, on overlanding for fun, YouTube channel. It's called 5-tire rotation, and very simple device. I got it off of Amazon for, I think it's like $25. And there's an interesting sequence of keys that you have to, well, it's not a sequence of keys. It's hitting the on and off start stop button and the brakes in a unique sequence to get into a learning mode, but pretty simple.
Yeah. Well, and it was interesting because, you know, there's a lot of people, they, you know, do the rotation and then suddenly, oops, you know, like,
well,
now,
yeah.
now,
So if you do a 4-tire rotation, you don't have to do anything because the car knows the serial number of the sensors that are active on the tires.
got it.
It'll pick up that they're in a new location. It's when you rotate that 5th tire in and it doesn't know about that serial number for that TPMS sensor.
Switching gears a little bit, Second Nature Overland said, by the way, if you haven't checked out his YouTube channel for everyone after our show, don't do it now. After the show, go check it out. It's pretty cool. It did a video of supercells put together really well, and it was pretty cool. So thanks for interviewing Gavin and I. Let's see. How many of the Badland owners had a dilemma deciding to Sasquatch or not to Sasquatch? Well, for me, it was easy because I wanted the biggest tire I could get from the factory because I know I'm going to lift it. I know I'm going to do big tires. So if I can buy it that way under warranty, then I was all for it. So for me, it was an easy decision. What about you, Tim?
I kind of the same thing. You know, I was looking at wanting to get something that was the most capable as possible, with that factory warranty. Is it the best suspension in the world? There's always better, but it's there. It's ready to go, and I can always still upgrade it if I need to.
Well, yeah, I mean, but the thing is, you're starting at a really good point.
Oh
right?
yeah, absolutely.
I mean, like
yeah.
I'm totally okay with it because I like I said, I didn't want to. I'm trying to go back to my video here. I can't see it. I didn't want to start wrenching on it right away. That's one reason why I haven't done anything to it until now. Now we're starting to do the other stuff, lights, you know, winch, mountains to metal. I'm going to spend like $2,500 with them, just fitting up the stuff in the back I want.
I'll get you a promo code.
We are an affiliate with them, by the way. I haven't done any advertising.
I need to get on the affiliate boat.
Yeah, you know, reach out to them and check it out. They have a pretty good policy there, but we haven't promoted anything yet because, well, I'm not just going to promote something that I want to use it, right? And be able to tell you, yeah, I like it, and here's why I like it, or I don't like it.
And I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna plug them. I think the most unique aftermarket part of
Mhm.
Supercell 23 was
Medicine.
exactly. It was the medicine
Medicine.
medicine
Yeah.
cabinet thing for the tailgate on the Gen 6 Bronco. I
I
think
love.
that is an absolute waste of space.
Yeah.
Um, for maybe I'm sure there's a reason that it's there. That bend out the cubby and everything. I'm sure there's a
Right.
reason, but that was something that was truly wasted space that they figured out a way to repurpose that and use it. And I think that was probably the coolest um, mod that I saw of the the new aftermarket stuff for this year.
Yeah, and that area, that louvered area in the back swing gate allows for air to escape, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, the flaps
So there's
behind the spare tires. Yeah.
right underneath the carrier. There's
Yep.
two pressure flaps for the pressure relief.
Which with a soft top, it's less important than a hard top. I can tell you right now, between Becky's Bronco and mine, it's night and day. Closing the door, it's strange. You have to put a little bit of force to close the door on Becky's Bronco, unless there's a window down. And then if you use that same force, and it's like, don't slam the door.
Yeah, I yell at my kids a lot too for that.
Quit slamming the door.
Speaking of soft tops, did you see Jody's Bird Dog Overland comment about? I think it was a comparison picture of his soft top with his new, I think it's Anderson
Composites, yeah.
composites hard top, and he says something along the lines to the effect of that he was glad to get rid of that covered wagon look.
I know it. And when he said it, I kind of laughed. I was like, I know what he's saying, because it's got the ribs. Yeah.
But the brand, well, it does. And I think the brand new soft tops look good. I think the best tops look good too. But over time, as you drive, and they do take some abuse from
Yep.
the wind, I can see what he was talking about with that covered wagon look.
Yeah, and with me, I'm okay with it because, like I said, I bought a vehicle that we could drop the top on in a hurry, and it's rugged. I'm okay with it. Now, if it was my daily driver, if I drove it every day, maybe it's a different story. But I can't wait to get out of my work vehicle, my F-250, and get in my Bronco, because I love them both. But man,
we had back in early April, we had like a 75 degree day here. The sun was out, and I was doing some stuff, and I checked the weather. Not a drop of rain in sight for the day. I took the tops off, not the back, but the two fronts and the one back, or the rear seat cover. I took those off, put them in the garage. I had to go get my kids from school. We're coming back, and all of a sudden, downpour.
Come on.
Absolute downpour. So we drove 7-8 miles down the interstate at
Nice.
I don't know, 70 miles an hour, no tops on, in a downpour. And the interesting fact is that we really didn't get wet. There was enough air bubble there from us, pushing air out of the way.
The windshield, yeah.
Right. The windshield and everything, that it blew it picked up a lot of the water and pushed it behind us as we went underneath it, and really wasn't all that wet.
Yeah, there's an advantage to having a flying brick. It's like the big Jessica Dunn. I don't know if you're still here. Thanks for joining us tonight, by the way. She had mentioned, and I'm still trying to get caught up in the chat. She said to Kevin, insurance covers the payments that go toward your loan, the original financed Bronco. If insurance doesn't pay it off, the balance someone will have to be figured out to pay. Yeah, if I was in an accident, someone caused it, and my insurance didn't take care of it, you turn over your insurance, and typically, at least here, they take care of it. They deal with all that. Our attorney is $300 an hour, so we don't want him touching it. Let's see. True Big O, but there's a lot that does across it. Yeah, sorry, we're way back in the comments there, Tim. I'm just trying to catch up.
It's all good.
Oh yeah, man. I tell her that thanks for the comments, by the way. I really do appreciate it. But I get caught up there. Let's see. Oh, by the way, you were talking about Mountains to Metal.
Yes.
Why do you think they called it the medicine cabinet? I have a liquid medicine cabinet. I don't know.
I honestly think it reminded me. When I saw it, I saw exactly why they called it a medicine cabinet, because it's built into the wall, just like a medicine cabinet would be, and you open up the door and you reach in and you get it. Now, whether that's liquid medicine or some other stuff, but it's
Yeah.
definitely, it utilizes the space where it otherwise is an empty void.
Yeah, Bronco 78 said, I get home from work on a nice day, go out to my 78, drop the tailgate, and just sit there and relax. Yeah, I could do that too. I mean, sometimes you just need some peace and quiet. By the way, there are some nice streams in Tennessee. Sometimes if you just want to put up a portable hammock and just relax, that another thing about Super Celebration East that makes it easy to go to. Townsend's such a nice place. Like
It is the
I,
peaceful
I need,
side of the mountain.
I need I need a cabin there because it's the right size for the first aid. Okay, Bronco 78 said because it's the right size for the first aid kit. So I guess I was looking for more of a play on it, type thing. But I guess that makes sense. I was thinking somebody was looking to store the old. Well, you do have a bottle opener in the back, but I was wondering who
That's when you're down in Baja, California.
Mhm.
You want to get the glass bottled Pepsi and Cokes.
Yeah, Kevin said, and of course, I'm going back up in the comments, reversing this. I know you're supposed to go the other way, but he said, I was walked away. It was a direct hit on the driver's door, and the rock rails are very solid. Man, Kevin, I'm so sorry. That is a bummer. Yeah, and by the way, did you remember that Big O mentioned the Bronco Sport that rolled down Black Bear Pass? Did you remember seeing that?
Oh yeah, yeah. That was a big.
It actually held up pretty well considering. You know what I mean? I
I know
think
what
the
you
engine
mean.
flew out of it, but it was still a cockpit.
Although, did the driver get ejected?
I can't remember. Somewhere I think maybe.
I think there was also a dog in the vehicle, and I think the dog got ejected, but obviously the dog wasn't probably buckled in or anything.
Yeah, maybe it was the dog and not the driver. I don't know, but I hope everybody's doing well from that.
I tell you, if you want a reassurance on how well these hold up in an accident, go look at the National Traffic Safety or the National Insurance Institute or whoever does those crash tests.
Yeah,
there's a video now. It's about a year old
the
of
head-on collision.
Yeah, of the Bronco with the top off.
Yeah, and the Jeep rolled over.
Yes,
and the Bronco just nailed it and stayed upright. Yeah, so I hope I never find that out. But I will say this. So Tim, we're gonna get some of the comments here. I guess we'll wrap it up. I've kept you for what 2 hours or so.
that's okay.
I don't know what it was. Let's see. Yeah, so anyway, Mountains to Metal is going to get some money from us to do the rear cargo area, which I got to have lights in the front and a winch, and then that'll do me for right now. And by the time I recoup from all that, I'll need.
Are you going to go with the winch plate, the Ford winch plate for the? And you're talking the modular bumper, right? For your 21.
Yeah. I'm keeping the bumper because I have the Lux Adaptive Cruise. I don't want to deal with any of that. Mountains to Metal has that camera relocation kit. Okay. So I'll do the Warn winch on my bumper. I'll use their camera relocation kit to move the camera in the front.
Do they make
the Molly panels in the back?
Do they make a winch plate that's adaptable for the or compatible with the modular bumper, or is Ford the only option for that?
I don't know if you're asking like other companies and stuff that do it. I really don't know how many options are out there. I'm just going to do the Ford, factory stuff. It's going to be a half a day bolt on stuff. I'm going to do it myself, I'm sure. I'm not getting I'm not going original with it, right? I kind of like a known, right? You know, I know what it costs.
Yeah.
Sure, I'm just going to do it.
Fair enough.
I like the way it looks. I know it sticks out pretty far. I know all that, but I don't want to deal with the hidden one where you cut the frame. Now, maybe does someone have one? You don't have to cut the frame. That would be cool.
So they're not. It's not the frame rails. It's more like the gussets
Right.
in the front that you have to cut some extra stuff out. So you do lose a little rigidity there. The one that and Stefan's got a great video on when he installed his.
North Shore Bronco, yeah.
Yes, but he has, I think his black one it's a 2.3. And so there's a little more room underneath there. The real kicker, because I was interested in maybe a hidden winch. And they at the time didn't have the 2.7. Then they came out with the 2.7, and it's rough. As far as I know, it's only Rough Country that's got one. Maybe there are some others out there. When I started looking at having to relocate the intercooler and a lot of other stuff, that to me just seemed a little more than what I would want to tackle.
That's what it was. You did have to relocate that. Yeah.
Yeah, you do. And I don't know if that's a good thing or if that's a bad thing or if it doesn't matter either way. But I kind of shied away from it. But now that the relocation kits are out for the camera, the only thing is, and I have a nice light bar on mine on the front, the mini bull bar. It mounts. It's designed specifically for the modular bumper, so it uses those accessory bolts on the bumper, and I've got lights on there. Now I also have lights on the top of the truck now too. So if I had to lose those across the bumper, I think I could live with that to put a winch in.
Right.
Where here, my area, less rock, probably more opportunity to get hung up in mud and stuff like that, where maybe a winch would probably come in more handy. But I will say in the 8 years that I hauled scouts and trailers and all kinds of weather conditions every month year round, I never once had to winch myself out.
Gotcha.
Not saying it wouldn't happen.
Yeah, you better knock on wood.
Yeah.
Bronco 78 Adventure said JCR makes one that works with the modular.
I can't say enough good things about JCR.
Yeah, I'm going to look into that before I pull the trigger on the other one. Let's see. That's funny. My headphones are getting ready to die. Yeah, I killed them. These are nice headphones, by the way. We're getting there with the technology. I'm slowly updating. Big O said wavy profile. Broncos. I think there's a couple of others. Yeah, I'm gonna look into it. You know what I need? I need a company that sells the Ryan Hemming. Good night. Appreciate you sticking with us this long, and you and everyone else, by the way. And if you're still watching, you haven't done it already, hit that subscribe or the subscribe button. That'd be nice. But thumbs up helps YouTube spread this around. What I'm looking for is for carrying water and gas, two individual tanks on the back. And I want something that mounts to the spare that I can easily remove so I don't ride around with it all the time.
So there are kits that you can buy. And I'm thinking, I think it's Hammer or something, has a reinforcement kit for the back end. It's really designed to have bigger tires if you want to go bigger than the 35s, 37s, 40s. But it also has in that mounting kit, if you've got your tire here and the thing, it has a side panel that comes off, and you can actually add a couple roto packs to that. One of the things that I'm looking at doing, their Trail Racks has them, JCR has them. There's a couple others. There's one that I'm talking with a manufacturer about right now that hasn't released it yet, but essentially a rack system that comes off the top, down the side, and covers the rear windows, and gives you places for molly panels so you can mount accessories, including roto packs there. So you could get a typically 2 wide, and you can double stack those roto packs. So you could carry, 8 gallons of water or fuel, or a mix of them. Yeah.
A mix of both. Well, there's someone, and he's in our chat sometime. He has a really nice setup. It attaches to the spare, just the spare tire, not the bracket, not the exoskeleton or any of that, but the tire itself.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how it really. So I just need to. I'm just going to simply search for it. And it'll,
The only thing I've seen, Jody has something on his. It's like a rack that sits on top of the tire, and then has a strap, like a ratchet strap system, that shores that up, grips it to the tire.
There you go. I think that's
and I'm assuming it's probably something like that. His
Yep.
is a basket where he can put, I can't think of the name of the company, but they make the hard cases, like Pelican type cases. They're long and wide, where you can stack him in there and strap him down.
So yeah, Big O was talking about, there's a company that makes a series of steel brackets that strap to the tire. That's pretty clever. Yeah, I'm going to look into it, because I think, to me, that is, it's something that I can easily take off, when we get back from our trip, because I don't want to drive around with it like that all the time. Right.
Yeah,
I know.
look like those people with those strap-on Thule racks on the top.
You know what? I mean, it's
they're
like
Volkswagen Jettas.
Yeah, next thing you know is be like Aunt Edna on the roof. And I don't want to do all that.
Well, so the only thing I would caution is the doors and the hinges are adequate for a 35-inch tire weight-wise.
Yep.
People are experiencing, when they go to bigger tires, are experiencing issues. And that's why, these reinforcement kits popped up to support the heavier weight. So, I mean, if it's a utility light type thing, basket, that's probably one thing, but I wouldn't, without reinforcing the door, I don't think I would hang anything too heavy off of that tire assembly.
So you're saying you wouldn't take 5 gallons of gas and 5 gallons of water?
I don't know how much they weigh.
What does water weigh a pound? I don't. Probably a good one to check there. Gavin would probably know that. He watches all these the Bright Side on YouTube here. And he probably knows that. How? I don't know if you're
sure. It says 8.34 pounds.
Okay. So, I mean, I think we'd be okay with 60. Well, I don't know. I mean, what's the difference between a 35 and a 37? Well, it depends on the brand of the tire. Depends on a lot. Depends on what kind of wheel.
I did some preliminary math when I filmed the 5 tire rotation video. Mm-hmm. That was the first time I pulled those tires off. I'm like, oh my God, they're heavy. And I think I came up, those tires, the lightest part of that is the air itself.
Right.
Because there's not enough mass in the air, even compressed, to have a lot of weight. But those tire wheel combination from the Badlands Sasquatch is, I think, right around 80 pounds.
Okay. Well, I'm going to look into it. That's a good point. Okay. So I'll tell you that I didn't think about that part of it. And when you're out on the trail and you're bouncing around, right? So it's not just the weight, it's the force bouncing around. I'll make sure. That is a very good point, though. Because I think that for most of the trails that I would go to, we would obviously gas up before you hit the trail. But to me, I feel better having more of what I need. I don't like skimping through life. I like everything, I like having more than enough, abundance, right?
If you go out in a trail system, go out to BLM land or someplace like that where gas stations are few and far in between, having that ability to have extra fuel with you is always a good thing. I seem to remember there was a video here recently of somebody who was out and they ran out of fuel on the trail.
Ugh. I mean, it happens, right? Big O said he texted a picture to you, but a bug out rack is the name brand of the tire mount rack. Okay, I'm going to look into that. I think it would be cool. Speaking of that rack, I guess like Jody has the one on the spare. I mean, something lightweight on that would be. I mean, I don't know, chairs.
Yeah.
I mean, the list, right? Whatever, not that heavy.
Well, and the other thing to keep in mind, you start looking at that. How heavy do you want to put? How heavy of an item do you want to lift up to get in there? Is and then his Bronco is lifted, and I think it's roughly 3 inches, a little bit bigger tire. I mean that thing is up there.
Yeah, it's up there, and I don't think you don't have to worry about center of gravity off-roading if you're talking about lightweight stuff. But yeah, when you start putting roof-mounted tents and you start putting all that gear on the roof, that's when center of gravity.
Not necessarily
about getting to
I'm just talking about we both got gray in our beard, Dwayne. Let's not kid ourselves. It's just lifting stuff up that high.
What are you saying? Slip a disc or something? Yeah, well, possible.
You want to be in his best physical shape when you go out on the trail and get beat around anyway. Well,
I hear you.
I don't want to rephrase that. We're driving Broncos, independent front suspension. It's not like driving a Jeep. You're not going to get beat up as much. But the point is that you don't want all these extra aches and pains.
Yeah,
because we're going into this thing.
Yeah. Well, no. I know what you mean. So see, and that's why that's the purpose of these live streams, right? We're just kind of shooting the breeze, but in that shooting the breeze, suddenly we start figuring.
I'm sorry. I know who Big O is, and he's a friend of mine.
Okay.
I didn't realize that was his screen name. I didn't know he knew how to type in a password to reserve a screen name. But
Big O. I wouldn't take that from Tim if I was you. Yeah. Come on, Tim.
Yep. Come on. So the picture he sent.
By the way,
it's not a huge rack. It's a flat surface that conforms to the shape of the tire. It doesn't wrap around the tire. It actually wraps through the tire, through the rim. And this one has got 3 of them on there. So he's got like a chainsaw mounted to the top. That'd be a good thing. And then it looks like on the side ones, he's got some Rotopacks on there in the picture. So.
Yeah, Tim, I would appreciate it if you were nicer to our viewers, okay?
Yep, sorry.
Hey, you know what? You've made it big time. I was going to show you this. When Apple replaces their logo with Driven Wild Outdoors.
There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yellow.
Oh, okay. Sorry. My headphones are getting ready to go out. Hey, by the way, our these big window stickers, they are going to be available on the website. Driven Wild Outdoors or drivengear.com. They'll be available later this week along with our books, Driven. Did I tell you I was writing a new book?
I heard something about that.
Yeah.
From it was like the word on the street when we were down in Townsend.
Yeah, man. Motivational business. It's this is a memoir. The other one is a how to get it done book. Recipe. It's called Build It Twice. I can say the name because it's already registered. Build It Twice. But anyway, I'm getting shiny squirrel stuff here. Drivenwildgear.com. You can get a copy of Driven, Finding Myself on the Road to Success. You can get it right now. The stickers, if you want to help support our channel, they're only going to be $5. Put them in an envelope, mail them to you. And it's a really good sticker. It's I didn't get it online. This came from the people that do our graphics and our vehicle logos and stuff, and it's very good material. So anyway,
I can vouch for that. I have one on the tailgate table.
Kevin GR, Tim likes big rats, not flat ones. Well, there's that, I guess.
I am a product of Sir Mix-a-Lot. Do you get that? Do you get it?
Right, we'll keep it right there. Yes, I know it's almost midnight here on the East Coast, but it's still a family show.
There you go.
Yeah, no, I get that. But anyway, Tim, any parting thoughts? What do you think? We talked about Supercell again,
Yes, we did.
I promise we're not going to beat that one again. But look, I love Supercell East. I love it so much. I think Gavin and I are going to fly out to North. So I need to try to
You're
find a
gonna fly
rent.
to Wisconsin, you mean, or?
Yeah, we'll fly out that way somewhere and drive the rest.
You know, I saw a I want to try to get as many as I can this year. There was 3. Tom announced. I believe he announced it here on the show 3-4 weeks ago when we did that interview that there was going to be one now in Nevada.
Yeah, I know he talked about it. Yep.
Well, I'm going to like to tell everybody that he announced that
he announced it
right here. Broke right here.
Breaking news.
But yeah, I mean, it is really there's a lot of things that you can dive into. This is not one of them that is a bad thing to dive into.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try to get to as many of them this year, but I did stumble across, and I'm going to look into this. I don't know if I necessarily want to drive all the way out to Colorado. Now I'm at Ryan, Alaska Early Broncos is YouTube or his Instagram handle. He flew from Alaska down to Towns, or not to Townsend, but to an area airport, and then drove over and spent the week there. But so I'm flipping through Instagram and I see this commercial about I want to go here, but I don't want to drive my car. Apparently there's a service that you can ship your vehicle to destinations. I don't know how expensive it is, but it sounds like they broker, empty spots on the transport vehicle.
Oh,
and so I don't know how early you have to send it out or how long it takes to get back. But the premise of their service is ship it out, fly where you're at. They'll meet you where you can grab your car, you do your vacation, your stay or whatever, and they'll get it picked back up and shipped back to your house.
That's interesting.
And I thought, that might be worth looking into to maybe get the Bronco out to Colorado. Cause it's one thing to hang out with people, but I would say that's only on the field is only about 50% of the experience.
Right.
It's the drives, and especially going into a new area, new terrain. You're not going to get that full experience unless you have a vehicle to drive or have access to one or with somebody that, you're there with a buddy. Like those 5 guys that piled into that one 2-door antimatter blue that was parked over by us. It was like a clown show every time they pulled back in. But all five full-size adults in a 2-door Bronco.
What did you do driving wise at North when you went? You went to North last year, right?
Oh yes, I did. I drove. It's about a 6-hour drive.
But I mean, did they have events?
Actually, no. I didn't. I was so busy talking. There was a kind of people knew who I was,
right?
Which surprised me. But
famous, Tim.
I think
Hollywood.
It's all these guest appearances I do.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I spent a lot of time there. There was a just like Townsend. There was a variety of drives. I believe there was an off-road park not too far from there. But honestly, that was more of a vacation where I didn't really want to do anything.
Yeah,
I enjoyed
go hang out. Yeah.
I was to me that was fun. I people watched, and last year was very different at the Supercells, I think, with the Gen 6s compared to this year. Last year we were the first, privately owned Gen 6s, the production models that were there, not just you and I, but I mean, all the Gen 6 owners that were there. And there was a lot of people still coming in that, had reserved a Bronco or waiting for a Bronco or were interested in a Bronco and didn't get an opportunity to see one up close. So there was a lot of that this year, because now they are much more abundant. there wasn't as much of that, but there's still, I think, in my opinion, and I said it in my last video, that's the world's largest showroom of aftermarket parts for the Bronco that you can go look at,
Yep.
see, talk to them. In a lot of cases, the manufacturers are there.
Might
People
install
who
it.
have people, yeah, IAG, and I think Mountains of Metal, two that I did hear of that were, installing parts right there on the thing. I know the year before Tyler was doing that with the Bronco braces. If you bought those, he was putting those on for you.
Mhm.
And I think that was before the steering component had come out yet. I'm not sure if he was doing that this year or not, but I wouldn't know why he wouldn't.
What?
But and that's
fun
the cool
part.
thing, because you get that opportunity to actually talk to people who have, because let's be honest, a lot of this is an investment. I mean, you mentioned a couple $2,500 in aftermarket parts that you're interested in putting in. It's an investment, and you want to make sure that you're comfortable with that. So that's a great opportunity to do it.
Yeah, and you get to, maybe you like the way it looks online in pictures and all that, but when you see it, then you're either sold on it or you're not. Or you
Well,
see stuff like this year. I saw stuff, the medicine thing. I hadn't been to Mountains of Metal's website, so I didn't know they had that coming out.
yeah.
When I went there, I had no idea that I wanted that. And I see it and I'm like,
Mark
yeah,
King.
yeah,
You remember Mark King?
yep.
He was I walked out. He had his two-door in and around over by where Dave and Diabolical and they had set up, and I think he was letting them use, but that's where I saw the medicine cabinet. It was installed in his Bronco.
Yeah, he bought it and haven't put it in there. Yeah.
And
Well, good
I
deal.
think he said that they brought every one of those that they brought. Because I looked at their website. I think they're still labeled as pre-order,
Right.
but the ones they had on hand, he said they sold out of.
Well, good for them. I mean, they're good
And
people too, and they
yeah,
build a good product. They have the Molly panels that go in the back, so right, you can mount an ARB compressor, you can hang whatever on them, and then they have the
yeah.
tray in the back that folds up. That's what I really like. I like that tray is just sold. Real quick, Bronco 78 said that would be cool. Talking about driving out west, that'd be a fun drive. Love the good road trip. Big O said agreed. Journey's half the fun. And I agree with that.
Absolutely. I personally, I'm good for about 6 hours, maybe 8 hours tops driving. And I don't like to drive 2 days in a row. Not
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, Big O can't get on the plane with certain things there. I agree. Let's see, Bronco 78, as we say, motorcycle world, it's not about the destination, it's all about the journey. Absolutely. I mean, you get out there and you get to see the stuff. Bronco 78, Mark King was working overtime for many vendors. Yes, he was. He's very active in the Bronco community, that's for sure.
Yeah, I won't say a whole lot, but he is a retail manager. That's right up his alley.
I hear you. Bronco 78 said they brought 20 of them. So, I mean, good for them. Yeah, I love that. They go there, they sell out. And like I said, I can tell you from seeing the product over at Overland or Overland East Expo, man, just so there again, I saw it, didn't know I needed it. I saw it, I needed it. That's it. So it's a cool thing, like you said, going to these events, you actually get to place these parts, and suddenly you start to figure out, yeah, I was wondering where, like, I don't want to mount the ARB compressor under my hood. I'd rather
I don't
be
either.
like
And I got a video
Mitchell.
coming up about that too. But
And Mitchell Watts has his compressor, I think, in that back cargo type deal.
he is mounted underneath the
And
lid.
it's so neat. It's clean. He's got his hose right there. It just makes sense to be back there.
Mhm.
So, and I'm not worried about sound, because guess what? I mean, when it's running, it's because I'm out airing the tires up. It's not, I mean, the sound
Exactly.
doesn't bother me one bit. Well, Tim, parting words, and we're going to roll for now. I appreciate you joining me for almost 3 hours.
Hey, it's a marathon, man.
5 minutes away. So yeah, great videos. I like the video that you did. You kind of summed up Supercell again, had the aerial footage. That was always cool. I'm jealous of those with drones like that. I have a drone. It's over there. I can't show it right now, but it's like like that wide. There you go. It's
That's a big
just
drone.
huge. Oh, yeah. It's
Is it an older one or is it one of the newer ones for
well, no, hold on. Hey, nobody go anywhere. Let me show you this monstrosity, I guess. Hold on a second. Monstrosity. Hold on one second.
All right. So another Bronco news.
Sorry, making all the mic noise there. So, I don't know if you can hear me still. This is a Typhoon.
Gotcha.
Pretty cool, huh? It's there you go.
Big.
It's really big. So there is a camera that mounts here, right? Slides in here,
Yeah.
and it's a gimbal. And then the controller has a screen on it, and that's how you're able to you see what you're recording from the screen on the controller. So it's pretty wild. And then what it does, it goes to an SD card. It films to an SD card.
Yeah.
And then you put it in your computer, do the editing. So it's pretty wild. So I need to get the camera's a little messed up, so we got to get that going. All right, Tim, appreciate it. We're going to wrap this up. Hey, everyone watching, thank you so much for hanging in there with us. I appreciate you spending the evening watching and listening and checking that out, and all the likes and shares and subscriptions and hitting the subscribe button. I appreciate that. We'll be here obviously next Wednesday. I'm back, got all this going on. I think all my traveling for the week is over for a while. I will be going to Statesville, North Carolina on May 13th. I maybe give some address or something like that next week. So, but if you live in that area, you're anywhere around the Statesville area, and you want to meet up with Gavin and I and go ride some go-karts or something, well, let's do that. Tim, what are you doing next couple of weeks? Anything you want to announce?
Yeah. So I posted it today on Instagram. I am going to be attending the Dayton Hamvention, and that is I think the world's largest ham radio show. There's two of them that compete for that. One is called Hamvention, the other one is called Hamcation, and Hamcation is down in Florida. But this is where all the manufacturers of amateur radio gear roll out their new models. So it's a big show in that realm. There's some YouTubers that I'm going to meet up with. They are primarily ham radio stations or YouTube channels. But while we were in Supercell, they were out at More Expo, which is an overlanding event. And, I'm sorry, it's an overlanding show out in the, I think, St. Louis area. But they had mentioned there that that segment is just prime for getting away from GMRS radios and utilizing more ham radio, amateur radio, not so much the talking point to point, but using them while they're out camping, while they're off the grid, and doing that. So, and I've gotten a really good response on some of the parks on the air. I'm not gonna get into all the technical stuff, but definitely using ham radio in conjunction with the Bronco out in the outdoors. And so that's kind of where I'm going. The convention's huge. It's a 3-day thing. So,
well, that'll be fun.
If you're in the Dayton area, actually it's Xenia is where it's going to be at. But if you're there, stop me, say hi.
Well, just remember, if there's no video, it didn't happen.
I'll be videoing.
All right, Tim. Well, I appreciate you joining us tonight. Thank you very much. And for everyone watching, thank you. As always, we appreciate you being here. Driven Wild Outdoors is it's a hobby, and it's something I truly have fun at. Reviewing vehicles, all great. But the best part is connecting and seeing everyone when we go out, the different places, seeing you, talking to you, chatting with you. So thank you very much. And I am out. All right, everyone. I'm out. See ya. Bye.